All right. I'm going to keep this up for a little bit, at least until things get started here. Let me post the link. By the way, I found out today that apparently anyone on stage can share their screen. All it requires is that I accept the new screen sharing, which will pop up almost like a new person on stage, which makes it, assuming this is correct, it will make things a lot easier. It means that I don't always have to be the one to present specific things because, well, let's be honest, I'm ADHD as fuck. And generally, I'm focused on chat and what other people are saying and shit, which is difficult enough as it is. So it also makes it to where this isn't like a highly biased situation to where everything is filtered through my specific viewpoint, which means when people disagree, they can provide their own evidence to back their claims and we can explore it together. And I don't see a problem with it as long as people don't abuse this feature. I would like to see if this is accurate. That's what I read. And see if I'm assuming it would require that you be on PC. I don't know if you could do that on mobile. But if we could find someone to test that out sometime today or tonight, that would be awesome. Eventually, I'd also like to set up like a team MAGA versus just me. Like sky's the limit. You can have up to 10 people on here. I would be willing to have at least 9 MAGA people on here and me. Well, maximum because you can't have more than 10. And then everyone can just come at me. And I'm honestly not concerned about that. But I would like to do something like that. It is to some people. To me, it's just funny. I can't complain. A little bit tired. Dealing with cat stuff constantly. Supposed to be frickin' going in. I'm waiting for Luca to poop. Funny enough, because I've got to go deliver a frickin' fecal sample because he's had diarrhea for days, which can be very dangerous for a kitten. So I'm working on that on top of Luca being a crack fiend and constantly knocking shit all over the place, destroying stuff, and just being crazy. Digital extraction. I don't know what that is. Or you're joking. I don't know. I'm terrible with jokes, as you'll notice. I tend to take everything literally. Unless it's like typical retarded American humor, like fucking farts and stuff. Like, I'll always get that, but think it's part of being autistic. So we don't have any defenders of the MAGA status quo who want to come and appease Daddy Trump, grovel at his feet, and explain how I'm confused about everything. I don't want to either. Luckily, they said that because it's diarrhea, it could contain cat litter in it as well. The tricky thing is it has to be within 2 hours of, quote, freshness, meaning it was just taken. I don't understand all the science behind it, but apparently when they're dealing with fecal matter testing, it has to be fresh. Honestly, that's pretty much the way I look at it. A lot of people tend to throw it around as if it's an insult, but I honestly do not consider it an insult at all. Apparently, Rash was going to jump up at some point and test some sort of new thing that he worked out with Gadwin. I'm not 100% sure. Apparently, as an attempt to see if it could fix his connection issues. Walter, all you do is project. You constantly push conspiracy theories like Obama, like Elon Musk is like a frickin' Obama fed up scheme type thing. So anytime I call you out on something, you just basically project and act like what I called you out on is what I'm doing. Notice how you have no evidence of any conspiracy theories on my side. That's why you constantly lose, my dude. Many people on the right thinks everything is a psyop. It's hilarious. Not to say that psyops aren't a thing, but they never have evidence to back their claim. It's always like confirmation bias. It's like what they want to believe, so they jump on like the most craziest shit to defend their views when it doesn't defend anything because there's no evidence. Plan conversation. Actually, you did, and it's on live stream. In fact, all people have to do is go back to the last live stream and see your actual text. Unless you're going to make like a crazy claim that that was actually like a fake person pretending to be you, which would be hilarious. No one's going to pretend to be you, dude. You'd lose just by showing up after I've defeated you like 50 times in a row, dude. It's like you're obviously like obsessed with getting back at me. It's like you're basically Ian 2.0. You make claims that you can't back. Notice how you don't claim which nonsense that you're talking about. You do that because you don't have anything. It's all ad hominems. Again, that's why you lose constantly. Exactly. Come on up, Walter Grace. No one's going to take you seriously in text. You're going to have to meet me on the big stage, dude. You don't have to, but it certainly makes it makes you seem a little bit more credible. It's a whole lot easier to hide in text. I base everything on evidence. Nothing is based on how I would like to feel. That's not what you said. I like how you're like, I like how you make a claim and then you run away from it because you don't want people to realize that you lied, or not that you lied, but you believed something that was pretty much insane. And then you just changed the goalposts on what your entire point was. Very funny. There you go. Now you're getting back to it. A cutout front man. That's the conspiracy theory stuff that I'm talking about. At least now you're being honest. Same deal. I think you're speaking for yourself, Walter. I don't know if there's like a mouse in your pocket, but there are nobody. You're just one person, dude. The only people who generally don't take me seriously are the people who hate me because I've owned them in the past, and hardcore right-wingers. Hello, Andy.
What's going on, Tribes?
Not a whole lot. Just sipping on some beer and getting things started here.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of freaking shit going on in the political world.
There is. In fact, I'm kind of burned out on it. I haven't even been following completely lately because there's so much going on so quickly that I can't keep up.
It's a lot to absorb, and I don't know. I haven't been getting down in the rabbit hole too much because it's so much. And look, I'm not here to you know me, I don't like to argue too much. I like to learn. So look, I was thinking, man, what can I talk to him about? And look, I might ask you a couple questions if you don't mind, because we are on opposite sides,
I know.
and I'd like to get a feel for who what your side feels, whatever.
Okay.
So let me ask you this first of all, and I'll give my opinion. Man, what do we have to do with Ukraine and that bullshit?
Well, it's not necessarily that we have to do with it. It's that we traditionally, because we're the most powerful nation in the world, we handle things when there's like, and I'm not trying to make the case that America's all good, because we're not. It's always about like resources and shit. But
Right.
regardless of the intent behind it, it happens to serve a greater good when we go and like, quote, defend democracy when that's actually the case. So Ukraine was attacked for no good reason by Russia. And by the
Correct.
way, we created NATO and everything, at least initially, to combat Russian influence. So this is really important because it's at least possible that Russia becomes basically the next fucking Nazi party. And it's clear that they have like this European dominance objective. You can't just let
Yeah.
Russia get more and more powerful. Otherwise, it's like how the Allies claimed that they would back Poland in World War II, and then no one did anything, and then fucking Hitler got more and more powerful, and look how close it was. We like to believe that it was like this absolute like Allies destruction. That's not the case. It was very, very close in many different theaters of World War II. If we had allowed Hitler to get more powerful than he did, there's a good chance we would have a different world right now.
Yeah, of course, we might be speaking German or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm explaining why it
No,
matters.
no, no. I'd like to delve into it further, actually. I'm
Okay.
listening to you. I don't disagree with anything you said. I see what you're stating as an observation, and I don't
Mhm.
necessarily disagree. I think it's a pretty good summary. But, just you as a person, myself as a person, I'm wondering, understand the consequences. I mean, do you think Ukraine should continue as it is? Should we continue funding them, or should we try to end all this? That's more what I'm looking to see what your opinions about.
Okay.
Me, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So on one side is the belief that we're just pouring insane amounts of money and they're going to lose anyway. So or at least there's the potential that they could lose. And I understand that sentiment, because if Russia wins, we just lost every single bit. You can look at our help as investment, meaning we're investing in the future. So if they lose, all of that is gone, which that's a valid thing to say. That's a valid point to make. I wouldn't attack that. But this isn't just about money. I'm not saying it's not important. It is. But what's important is, like, by the way, Trump recently made the claim that I'm trying to do two things at once. It's got me all messed up, but made the claim that Ukraine started the war with Russia. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Russia literally crossed the fucking border and attacked Ukraine.
Right. Well, I'm just, like I said, I'm just curious, if you have an opinion of what should be done or whatever. Like mine is like, I'm at the stage now, tribes. I'm like, fuck it. Let Ukraine cede the land. We quit spending money. And big fucking deal. We got a new, we got to draw a new line. We lost or whatever. That's my opinion. So, I'm curious what you feel. I mean, you must have an opinion on the end goal. I know what the end goal. Yeah.
Well, for one, Ukraine is, from a strategic standpoint on the world stage, is extremely important to us for many different reasons, especially economically. Yeah. But
okay, what do you mean? Wait. What do you mean economically?
There are tons of things that we get from Ukraine. Like, did you notice that tools and certain other industries took a massive hit when the war in Ukraine hit? And the reason why is because they are extremely important to us. And
as a manufacturer?
Yeah, as a whole lot of different things. I don't know like every little detail, but I know that they're important.
Right. I don't know, can we live without them or whatever? But again, I'm just curious, where are we going to end with this? Is Ukraine, if we dump another, whatever, just say billion upon billions of dollars in the Ukraine, are we going to eventually win? Why don't we go in there? I mean, if we're the strongest in the world, let's just go in there and fucking take over. Let's put boots on the ground.
I can agree to a certain extent with you. So that's sort of what the NATO's already doing, because Trump decided to turn his back on NATO, which pissed off all of our allies. What they're doing now is essentially they're like, well, okay, the United States turned their back on us. Now we've got to go in there and fucking do what no one else will do. And that might have the same effect. The only problem I have is we should be in there with it. If it's at a point where they believe Russia is basically won, at least in like taking the territory that they currently hold, then we should all say fuck that and not suck Putin's dick and fucking cower at his feet and go say, we won't stand for this shit. Fuck you. We'll come directly in. I don't care about your threats of fucking nuclear warheads or whatever. Fuck you.
So is that what you feel we should do? That that the EU and America together should stand together and fucking attack these motherfuckers and push them back?
Yes, because if we don't, he's going to get more and more powerful, and there's going to become a point where we can't stop him.
Okay. Well, no, then that's a good answer. That's pretty fucking tough, And tribes, I don't know. I'd like to say that. I'd like to be so bold as to say, fuck Putin. We're going in there, and guess what? This little bit of shit, we're going to take care of y'all. We're fucking tired of this shit. And go in there, as, the EU and the United States all together and fucking eliminate the fucking, the problem. And then, I don't know, fucking keep UN troops in there, fucking establish bases, and dare them to come fuck with us, But I don't know. I'm at the point now. One of my biggest problems, and it is, okay, one of my problems is, the amount of money that the United States is investing in this. And you said if we quit, it could all be lost. Well, it kind of is. The majority of it kind of is gone. It's gone up in fucking exploded bombs and shit, or whatever. You know,
No, it is true. I don't mean to cut you off, but it is true
no,
that the money we spent in terms of ammunition and stuff will be lost. What I mean
right.
is it's expected, obviously, that Ukraine is going to pay us back because they're going to continue to exist. And then of course, it's going to harm them, but it's a whole lot better than just not existing, right?
Wait. You think Ukraine's going to pay back the United States?
Do you think that, like, even Democrats, anyone, do you think anyone is just throwing money at Ukraine and not expecting anything in return? That does not happen on the world stage ever.
Okay. All right. Where are they going to get all this money from?
What do you mean?
Where are they going to get the money from?
Well, it's dependent on Ukraine actually winning. If Ukraine wins, they are obviously expected to pay us back, although it won't be all at once. But,
right. I mean, what are we talking? 100 years or 10 years?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Because this is my whole thing, tribes. If you're saying, they should pay us back. Well, if they had that capability during peacetime, why are we having to subsidize their safety? Their well-being. They didn't have the money to take care of themselves. We're having to do that. Therefore, my conclusion is it's going to take a fucking long fucking time to get anything out of them. I mean, Trump did ask them about seeding some minerals, and which would be to me a gesture of good faith. It's like, hey, give us some mineral rights, fucking pay us back with some minerals. I mean, what's wrong with that? Or is it political posturing?
No, the issue is specifically Trump has made the claim, and by the way, it's 50% of all mineral rights for all time. That's not a fair deal. That's like the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
Like, I would be fine with it if he were like 10% or something like that. Like, someone could actually have a conversation with that, It's not just insane.
So what he's saying? He's saying 50% of say that again.
10% of like their mineral resources would be far more. Like, that would be like an honest attempt at making a deal, right?
Okay. Yes. So you're saying he's asking what, for 50%?
Yeah, and not just for so long. He's asking for 50% from now till the end of time.
I wonder how long. I don't know how much they owe us. I know it's a lot. I wonder how long it would take to pay back in minerals.
I don't know.
I mean, I wonder even if at 50%, I wonder. I mean, shit, is it going to still take 10 years or 100 years or never? To get back what they owe. How do we potentially ever get back what they owe to us? I'm trying to get it.
Well,
within a reasonable.
As Mal said, people are still paying for World War II as of now. It's not an unusual situation. So we can't expect to have answers for these questions right now while we're in the middle of the actual war. But again,
wait a second. I want to know how we're still paying for World War II. I can't just let that slide by.
Say that again.
How are we still paying for World War II?
There are actual countries that are still paying for World War II, meaning like, for instance, Germany, which they actually, a big part of them.
Paying like, yeah, I got you. Like paying, what's the term? Fuck. It's like when a criminal steals from you and you got to pay him back.
Reparations?
There you go, something like that, reparations. I don't know. But look, it could be like $1 million a year, just because they're quote unquote paying. Again, I don't have the number. Is it really putting any strain on their economy? Or is it just symbolic, Okay, we owe you $100 billion for what we did. We'll pay you $1 million a year for perpetuity. You're never going to get it.
Right, that is part of it. But at the same time, everything's not about money. We're the richest country in the history of the world. Sometimes you have to do things based on principle, not just like everything's not business, at least in my world. Everything's
Right. Well, I just want to finish my thought. So to just say, oh, we're still paying for World War II, that on its own sounds like, something major. But, I don't know the specifics, like I said, maybe they're paying a token amount, I don't quite understand the statement. I mean, it's a pretty fucking, intense statement, so to speak,
Well,
and
they're required to pay a large sum, and I can look
right.
it up if you want me to. It's not like
Sure, sure, sure.
it's not like nothing.
Right. Well, it isn't like Germany's suffering. I mean, it seems like they have a decent economy. They ought to be paying their fair share of the fucking NATO bill, but they don't look like they're suffering. I mean,
Well,
Germans seem to be.
but that's the thing. I don't think they should be. I think that they should be forced to pay dues, but they shouldn't, like all of their civilians, which have nothing to do with the past of their government, shouldn't be forced to starve to pay back.
Right,
Like
right,
I would
right,
disagree if that's what you're saying.
right, right. Well, then, so look it up real quick. Then let's see what we're talking about.
Okay.
Because, like
So
I said, I don't think anybody in Germany is starving.
this is so far. So in reparations paid for Holocaust victims, Germany has paid about 86.8 billion to Holocaust victims and their heirs since 1945.
Okay.
Forced labor victims.
So what would you say? I would call that a drop in the bucket, basically, but I don't know.
It is, but you can't say 86.8 billion is nothing to someone that Germany, who has their sized economy. Like for us, 86.8 billion, it would be a lot, but it wouldn't be astronomical to Germany.
Well,
That's a pretty big deal.
Well, since the end of the war, Trobs, since the end of the war, I mean, that's been 80 years. So you spread that out over 80 years. 80 billion. I mean, a billion a year. I mean, I don't know what their their income is, but my point is, and I'll stand by it. I don't know. But, I'm guessing it's next to nothing. I'm guessing it's a drop in the bucket. I'm guessing it's less than what they pay to the UN, but I don't know. I'm just basing it off of a feeling and, just observation and so forth. They're not a suffering people. They're doing quite well. And, they seem to be a quite proud people, too. I don't think in other words, they're not paying some crippling amount to say, oh, we're still paying for World War II. It's not a crippling amount.
You're right, but I don't think that's a bad thing. You don't want to cripple someone because of the actions of the past.
No.
Like, I agree with you, but I don't think that's a bad thing. So the amount should be so much that they are like facing some sort of punishment, of course, but not so much that people are starving in the streets.
Of course not. So I'm going to give you an example. I had a pretty good friend of mine. He fucking broke into a place, a commercial place, and stole a bunch of tools. He got busted, okay? He had to pay back $1,500. Shit, they spread it out over 2 years or something. $100 a month, which, $100 a month. I mean, fuck, for what he did, it's not that bad. It's, and I'm glad he was forced to pay it, because even though he was my buddy, I don't believe in that kind of bullshit. But I'm part, trying to equate it with, yes, he's paying. Does he feel it a little bit? Yes. Is it, hurtful, whatever? Again, it's not a crippling amount. But anyway, to me, this is kind of detracted from where we're talking. I just, to me, like I said, to make a statement like that, it kind of, in my mind, needs to be explored a little bit. Because otherwise, it's like a damning statement, if it's not like explored a little bit. So Ukraine. So how does that equate to Ukraine? So we're still paying for World War II. So how does that equate to what we're going to be paying for Ukraine for a long time?
Most likely, yes. And by the way, we've already came this far. Like the when it comes to like intelligent moves, the last thing anyone should do is, after we've sunk, like, I don't even know the total. I could look it up, but it's an insane amount that we've provided for aid for Ukraine. All of that is down the drain if we go, oh, Putin, let's suck your dick. Like, that's the stupidest thing we could possibly do. Andy dropped, by the way. I did not kick him. And while we have a break, I'll be right back. Yes, I am not allowed to own a gun. Clearly. Owned again.
Sorry about that, Trobs.
You're fine.
Hitting these buttons. So yeah, I don't know what amount it is either. So, you know, to me, whether we quit the war or not, you know, a lot of that money's up in smoke. And I hate to say, I think a lot of it's gone to corruption, you know. I don't know. I mean, look, I watch YouTube all the time, but I think I heard something like Zelensky said, oh, there's 20, we can't find 20 billion or whatever. Now, whether I heard it correctly or even if it's a correct statement, you know, I don't know. But, you know, but I don't know. To me, if we're going to stay involved, we need to quit pity-pattying around. Let's fucking do this, you know.
I agree with that. I agree with that. We don't disagree. All I'm saying is it would be a very dumb move. One, it sends a signal to our allies that we're not trustworthy. Two, it allows Russia to get more powerful. And right now, Putin, it might be like a slight stretch to call Putin basically Hitler 2.0, but it's not that. It's not that crazy.
Well, you know, I mean, so you know, I mean, not you know, he's a socialist. You know, fuck. I mean, you know, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. Sure, you know, I'd put him in the same fucking category. You know, but I just Putin's Putin. I don't need to call him Hitler. He's an evil motherfucker.
Yeah,
he's not a good man. He's not a good man.
So exactly, we shouldn't be allowing him to get his way, period. Like, no matter what.
Right. Well, you know, so this is kind of where I get at. Now, I understand what you're saying, you know, because I think we should walk together, you know, carry a big stick to fucking gather and fucking take care of this guy. Now, something I don't know, but I'll start on this, you know, okay. I do know that the EU, individual countries, I think other than Poland and England, owns a substantial amount of money to the UN. And also, I don't know, population-wise and monetarily wise, does the European Union come close to, you know, the USA? You know, as far as population and money, because we need to be one, and they need to be one. You know, if they're a union, look, you know, we're going to put up, you know, 50 billion. We need y'all to put up 50 billion. Okay. We need the same deal y'all got. We need to operate as one. It shouldn't be, you know, okay, we'll take care of it. Or, you know, because, you know, if you don't pay your fucking money, I mean, it upsets the fucking apple cart, you know? And that's why I say it kind of starts with there. And then, come on, let's put up or shut up, you know? Fucking, you know, we're going to put in 10,000 bombs. Put up 10,000 bombs. You know, not this, you know, at the beginning of this, oh, so-and-so's offering up 10 jets and this, that, and the other. Compared to what we're fucking doing, I don't know. What you know, really, where's the EU, you know, where are they at compared to what we've done? You know, that's what I'd be curious about that.
Okay, so I can agree with part of that, that NATO members should be putting in more, but I will not say they should match us. No one has the means that we have.
But look, I think it's on a percentage, you know, type thing, a sliding scale, you know. If you make 200 million, I mean, just say you make $1 million, you know, you put up I'm going to use loose figures. It's far from it. Put in 1 million. You make 1 million, put in 100,000. Make 100,000, put in 10,000.
But
It's on a percentage basis.
But so a lot of this is just lies that Trump claimed. He's making claims that like all of NATO's doing nothing while we're doing everything. That's not true.
I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried about what Trump says. All I know is NATO is lacking in funds because the majority of European nations aren't paying up. And I'm just saying, to me, it starts there, because if I'm going to stand with somebody personally, if I'm going to stand with somebody in a fight, in reality, I want to know, hey, how do you show me your commitment? How do you show me you all in with me? And then to me, it's fucking you paying up to the fucking UN, you fucking arming yourself, you try to be a big boy, I don't know.
I agree with you. Where I think we disagree is the notion that they're not already doing that. They are putting in, and compared to their GDP, they're putting in insane amounts of money to assist Ukraine, especially the bordering countries like Poland. Like big time.
Well, I'm just saying, even before we get to Ukraine and stuff, why aren't they just paying I call it the bill. Why aren't they paying their fair share to the UN? Why, Drops?
Well, I don't know that they're not.
They aren't. Just look it up real quick.
So what am I looking up?
That the EU, the majority of countries, fucking owe the UN money. They're not paying their fair share. They fall short.
Let's see. No, the European Union and its member states collectively contribute significantly to the United Nations dues, making them one of the largest contributors to the UN budget. Therefore, it's not accurate to say the EU is not paying UN dues. That's the first thing that pulled up.
Right. And that's double talk because they are paying dues, but they're not paying their full dues. That's my issue.
What is
so everything you address? Yeah, they're paying significant amounts of money. Therefore, blah blah blah. They're not paying their fair share. They're not paying what they agreed to. That's my point.
No, they're paying what they agreed to. What's going on is people are subjectively saying they should pay more. They should pay more. Which you could the sky's the limit. You could add as much as you want.
No, they're supposed to be paying X amount, and they're paying less than that.
Well, let me look it up.
And like I said, it's a thing. All you got to do is find the proper chart, like that commentary or something. Oh, I can say, yeah. Oh, yeah, European Union's paying so much money. They're wonderful people. But no, they're fucking assholes because they're not paying what they're supposed to be. That's my point. I can make them look good, Oh, they're so wonderful. They make such sacrifices for the good of the world. Fuck that. They're not paying their fair share.
So the problem is that's just based on a lie. It's just misinformation. So I have 9 countries, and it's the only countries in the world that are in arrears to financial contributions in terms of Article 19.
Only. Okay, go ahead. Only.
I'll list every single one of them. 1,
Afghanistan. France, well.
No, they're not even in it. Afghanistan, Bolivia, Cabo Verde, the Congo, Ecuador, Grenada, Guinea-Bissau. I don't know how to pronounce that.
I thought we were talking about NATO.
This is the UN. So
I'm not talking about the UN. If I said the UN, I misspoke. I'm talking about NATO. I'm sorry if I misspoke.
Hold on, let me catch up.
Anyway, UN's another topic. But I like to stick to one topic.
Okay, well, I thought that's what you were talking about, honestly.
No. So then, anyway, if I misspoke, I apologize. But no, I'm talking about NATO.
Okay.
Funding for NATO.
Let me get caught up with the chat, because if I keep going away, then it'll be too damn long, and I won't be able to get it back up.
That's fine, Trav.
But yeah, this isn't, as is always the case, this isn't about proving I'm right. I actually want to know what the truth is. So that's
Well, that's
why
the
I'm,
whole point is,
yeah,
I'm not trying to prove you wrong on anything. I'm just throwing my opinion out and you're throwing yours out. And it's like, hey,
right.
blah, blah, blah. I like this because we're sticking to one narrow topic, and,
Mhm. That's true.
I like a conversation like this.
Right. And it allows you to explore ideas that you may not have thought of yourself. It's a good thing.
Well, yeah, you got me thinking about the whole thing. It's like, yeah, let's just smash the fuck out of Russia because that's typically my personality.
Well, not I don't do that immediately, but I will say, given what Russia's done, especially the
Right.
illegal annexation of Crimea, and then their moves, their attack on Georgia, like over and over, we've seen Putin cannot be trusted. He's dangerous.
Right.
And
Look,
so
look,
I
look,
think that,
look. Yeah. They have an end goal. China has an end goal. Islam has an end goal. We have an end goal, and all of it's about fucking ruling the fucking world, or
I
large
agree.
portions of it.
I agree. So my general stance is, I do not, by any fucking metric, think the United States is, quote, good. But I do think that they are infinitely better than Vladimir Putin in Russia. That's
Well, I
why,
appreciate that, because I love my country, but we're far from perfect. Fuck, there is not. I'm sure there's other nations that are a lot more peaceful, a lot more kind, but we are who we are. It's
yeah.
just the way it
But,
came out
well,
in history.
the reason why I say this is because essentially that's what we're doing. We're curtailing their sphere of influence because they're
Right,
dangerous and evil. And that's what you have to do. It's essentially
right,
right now, when it comes to superpowers, you've got China, Russia, and the United States.
right,
Now,
right,
me personally, we can disagree on this. I think that China and the United States are kind of tit for tat on which one is the better choice. Like, I think
right.
that it's not clear. But Russia, I think everyone should agree they're fucking dangerous, and Vladimir Putin is basically a mob boss. And
Well, he's a bit of a loose cannon, and you know, that's what I see. But look, Tops, I don't want to get lost in the weeds because I want to go back what I was talking about. Like I agree with you. I'm starting to agree with you. Let's smash the fuck out of them. But like I said, I'd like to get back out to my initial opinion. I'm like, hey, that's good, but we need to be into this equal. I'll take the EU as a whole. I'd like to equate them to America. Okay, again, we're putting up 50 billion. EU put up 50 billion. You're getting a payback deal. We all get a payback deal.
right.
That's all
So
I'm saying.
I agree with that. And so I would be perfectly fine with like all of like NATO nations or certain members of the UN, even if they're not part of NATO, which I believe it's pretty close to being similar, at least.
I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure on it, but I would think that it would be. But anyway, so yeah, like ask for everyone to pay their fair share and
Right,
stop Russia. But when it comes to cost, it's going to cost even more because boots on the ground cost infinitely more than just
right,
sending
right.
people
So,
ammunition and shit.
right. So the point I was trying to make, Drops, is for me, the starting point, and this is before, the Ukraine bullshit started, it preempts, 2 years ago, is that they need to pay up. Look, if you owe 100 billion and you're only paying 180 billion, pay up the other 20 billion. That's what I'm saying. We're going to be in this together. Then look, you have to be in 100%, not short. What are you either in this or you're not? And if you're not, then you kind of try getting where I'm coming from.
Yes, and I don't disagree with you, but again, I don't. At least, okay, I'm not going to say for this specific because I haven't fact checked it, but I do have a history of Trump just making shit up to get his way. So I am skeptical as fuck that it's even true. So that's where we need to start. We got to find out if they're not paying their fair share, which I'm in the middle of looking up.
Right. Well, Tribes, I'm gonna tell you something about me. I don't talk about shit. I don't talk about bullshit. So, take it from me. It's true.
Well,
I
no,
don't
no.
just
The,
talk
the the
bullshit.
problem is this isn't about calling some like it wouldn't make you a liar if you believed something that was not true. Like it
Right.
doesn't make you stupid or a liar or anything. Even I get fucking told shit that's just not true, and then I run with it, and then I'm just wrong.
Well, anyway, we could argue this. All I would do is ask you to look into it a little. Look, I'm on a fucking phone. I'll lose you if I try to bring it up, but I brought it up. But I could quote. If I brought it up, I could say, okay, this country has a shortfall. This country has a shortfall. Blah blah blah. I'm not sure. I think Canada's paid up, which is good. I think England's paid up, which is good. Poland's paid up, which is good. But like France and Spain and Germany and these other, Denmark and whoever else, all these other little nations that, oh, yeah, y'all have paid for health care. Y'all have this. You brag about this, but you're not paying your fucking dues to protect the fucking world. Or more in particularly, sorry, I snorted. Fuck. More in particularly protecting, Europe. We're across the ocean. We're across the ocean, and we can protect ourselves pretty damn good. This is about protecting our fucking European brothers, our allies. Look, it's for your good, so be all in. And I don't want to hear, oh, we have this, we have that. Y'all ain't paying up to the UN. To me, that's kind of my starting point at this point.
Okay.
But even beyond that, like I said, what we talked about before I got down in the grass with all this bullshit is, look, if we going in, let's go in. I want to see our. Look, I'm too old to do it, but I fucking would. I want to see a fucking young man fight and die together, not fucking 50,000 Americans die and 10,000 Europeans die. That's not the way it goes. We're gonna die equally.
We both agree with that, but I don't
Right,
have
right.
any indication that that's not what would happen. Like I don't have a belief that that all of our allies are going to go, no, this is your problem, the United States. Like I don't have any reason to believe that.
Right. Well, I do, because if it were like that, why didn't all I have to do is fucking pony up some money and fucking support the UN, which, like I said, is more for their benefit than ours, because we have a fucking big ass ocean, Atlantic Ocean, sheltering us or protecting us from fucking Russia. We got the fucking Pacific Ocean protecting us from China. We have a little bit of, strategic help with these oceans, but they don't. Ukraine's a buffer zone. I don't know what's behind Ukraine, fucking Poland, some of these Eastern Bloc little nations,
Right.
But, like I said, it's great. You'll have all these social programs you want to brag about and tell us how fucking garbage we are. You don't even pay for your own protection. You can't protect yourself. You can't. That's the bottom line. You can't protect yourself, and you're not willing to pay the man to protect you. That's kind of fucked up to me.
Right. So, okay. All of this goes back to the NATO claim, which I pulled up an infographic that will sort of address it here.
Okay.
So, it's not going to be extremely large, but that's the best I can do right now. I'll kind of talk through it. So, this green line is the NATO guideline of 2% GDP, which, by the way, I agree with, because that's not a hard number. It's fair because if a certain country doesn't make enough money, it's based on a percentage, not on just some.
Just slide the scale, just like if you fucking go to the welfare doctor or something. You don't have any money. They're gonna cut you some slack.
Which I'm fine with that. So I think we're all in agreement so far with how NATO deals with this. But so everything under the green line, there are countries that have not made that 2% guideline. And I agree with you. We've got, starting here, we've got France, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, Croatia, Albania, the Netherlands, Norway. Why the fuck is Norway not making that? Denmark.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. These countries. Keep going. I'm sorry.
You're good. Czechia, Portugal.
I don't know. Chechen. I don't know.
It's not Chechnya. It's like Czechia. It's weird. I've never even saw that name before. But anyway,
I mean, I don't know.
We've got Italy, Canada, Slovenia, Turkey, Spain, Belgium, and Luxembourg. All are
So Canadian Canada isn't paying up. Ain't that some fucking shit?
I agree with you here. When it because it's based on a percentage of GDP, it's fair. It's not asking for like a set amount.
Right, right.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
So now you see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna rumble, man, fucking have your dues paid up. You know what I'm saying? If you want me to protect you, you know, you gotta fucking pay the piper. You know.
I agree.
You gotta. You understand? Yeah.
Yes, but that should be dealt with. But why is that not specifically what's being asked for? Like, all you got to do is be like you could be like set out a precedent in NATO that if you can't meet your 2% obligation, you're gone, and that solves the problem right there.
Yeah, dude, that's all fucking diplomatic shit, though. It sounds good, you know. I mean, I just saw something recently. You're not gonna like it, but I saw Vice President Vance talking at some fucking European bullshit, and he kind of called some of them out. You know, Germany's over there giggling and shit. Because in reality, what can we fucking do? What can we fucking do? But ain't that some shit? You know, and then I have to sit here and listen to people rag on how fucked up my country is, and you fuckheads think it's funny you don't pay to protect yourself. Ain't that some shit?
So both things can be true. Like, it doesn't need to be extremes, like black and white. Like, there are numerous ways in which the United States, at least in my opinion, is not good. There are numerous ways in which we are good. Right. Both be true. And
Right.
You're right.
Look, I'm not trying to get down in the weed. The thing I'm trying to say, just like you mentioned, I don't know, Sweden or some of these places that are so freaking wonderful, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Maybe if you paid your fair fucking share to protect yourself, maybe it wouldn't be so good. But you're choosing to fucking not protect yourself. Dude, these people can't protect themselves without us. That's the bottom line.
If they're in NATO and they're not meeting the 2% baseline obligation, I agree. I completely agree. But I would say it's pretty bad because out of all of them, it's like more than half that doesn't meet the obligation. So it is pretty bad.
How the fuck is Sweden going to protect themselves? How? And if I can't count on you to fucking protect yourself, how can I count on you to be part of the group to fucking put Russia straight? That's what my argument's all about, Tom's.
That's a valid argument. As I said, I completely agree with you. Sometimes it's all based on what you know. And I wasn't aware of their unpaid dues or like not fulfilling their obligations. And that's why we have these conversations. So I can figure out this stuff, and I'm completely
look, we're learning from each other because I damn well you changed my opinion. Now I'm like, smash those motherfuckers, you know. Where before I was like, yeah, well, big deal, Putin gets his dick sucked a little bit. Fuck, we get this shit over with. But there's another way to end it. We fucking unite the EU and the United States, and we finish this shit off.
I would before anything, I would give Putin a very direct ultimatum. Back off.
Yeah.
You're not getting any part of Ukraine, period. Back the fuck off. You've already lost tons of troops and lost all sorts of equipment. Back the fuck off, and we'll give you a chance to just fucking go back to your part of the world, and we do business as usual, and you don't try to engage with like this imperialist shit to take over other countries, and we're good. But that's it. If you continue, we're all coming after your ass. And that's what I would do.
And then Trump just makes me think about something else, And again, I don't want this shit to drag out because I was looking again on TV. The fucking front line hasn't gone anywhere in 2 years. It's shifted a little bit, but it's not drastic.
Well,
But anyway,
one big reason for that is due to the collective aid in which we've sent, because Ukraine would have been steamrolled if it weren't for our assistance. Like, let's be real about it.
well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. But then another thing is, can we win a war of attrition with them? Could we literally like play this out for a couple years and fucking kill a couple millions and millions of their young men? Compared to a far lesser amount on our side. Could we wipe out a generation of their young men, fucking destroy all their equipment? You understand what I'm saying? Can we produce shit faster than they can?
If by we you mean the United States, absolutely. If by we you mean the United States and all allies, definitely. Like Russia is weak in comparison to us.
Right.
The only thing that keeps us from doing exactly what I said is the threat of nuclear fucking annihilation. And I'm not going to say that it's not scary.
At this fucking point, fuck it. That's what I'm starting to say. Fuck it. You want to play Madman? Anyway, that's Gadwin. What's up, Gadwin? Well, look, I'm going to be quiet a little while. I said a lot. But, hey, we learned a little bit. And, we learned a little bit from each other. I'm going to listen for a little while. I didn't see Gadwin till just now.
It's all good. I think he was politely waiting.
I almost missed the meeting of the minds.
Why is that? Did you get him a Warhammer?
Yeah, I was playing Total War. That was our guilt. The Supreme Patriarch.
Do you like the AI changes?
I gotta go over to you have to be in experimental bullshit.
You haven't messed with it?
No, I thought it was active, but it wasn't.
Oh, no. You have to join the beta thing, and that I didn't want to, so I hadn't done it either. Yeah, we're talking about Ukraine, and that's kind of just what popped up right off the bat. And to be fair, he kind of changed my mind on part of it. Like, it is true that according to the 2% GDP mark, like half of NATO, more than half of NATO is not paying their fair share. And I consider it fair because it's a percentage of their GDP, it's not a fixed amount.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that are increasing their spending though now, like Poland and such, because of Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to feel threatened. For the longest time, they didn't feel threatened. So therefore, because we were in such an economic boom, basically, with Europe, all the trade deals, Mexico, Canada, and shit like that, we didn't have to worry about defending shit. We were pretty safe. But now with Russia saber rattling and then invading.
I agree, but it shouldn't require like an immediate threat to meet your obligations. Like, I believe that unless there's some catastrophic reason that's like a legitimate reason why you can't make 2%, like, you should be out of NATO. Like, you could, I believe you should be able to appeal it if you have a legitimate reason. I think you should be able to appeal it and go, hey, let me present my case to NATO of why we can't pay 2% and we should still stay. Fine. But they're not even doing that. They're not even, they're like, fuck that. I don't care.
We have to remember that the people at the strings of power are all greedy assholes that just want power and money. So if they say, hey, I can keep this much of the budget and then run it through these shell companies and it ends up in my pocket in the end, they're going to do that. They're not going to do what's best for the people.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That's every nation basically in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But it's
so that means like the government in Norway is corrupt. They're too corrupt to pay up.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's like on capitalism corruption, which it is in a way. It's a system of corruption where we all accept it. We're like the one guy.
I don't know about that.
Money, and then the workers get like just crumbs.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about NATO. I don't know why, these so-called, wonderful Nordic countries that, like I said, people in chat, like, hate on my country, think they're so great, but they can't even protect themselves,
Oh, bullshit. Fucking Russia tried to invade Finland in the like 30s, and Finland fucked them up. So don't say these countries can't defend themselves. These countries invaded almost like every Mediterranean linked fucking nation there was at one point. The Viking conquests and such. Like, they know how to defend themselves. Don't worry.
So Mal, I agree with your point that if places can't afford it, NATO should look out for them. So that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is it's based on GDP percentage, which means even if they're poor as hell, like,
yeah, it's only percent.
You're not making, at least to me, you can't make the case that like Poland and France and Spain can't pay 2% of their GDP. I don't believe that. So I think that it's completely fair to ask them to pay.
Thank you.
But I agree. If they can't, then you should make an appeal. And like, sure, like sometimes you got to do what's in the interest of the greater good. All that matters to me is that they're attempting to pay their fair share, and that doesn't seem to be the case.
I mean,
I think they're trying to pay what they think is a fair share.
Yeah, but well, if it's
escalating it though as much as possible, like we have this NATO itself is the biggest threat to anybody. Anybody fucks with one of 33 countries now, they're gonna have every one of those countries dogpile them. So therefore, they don't. Just that threat alone makes like why we haven't had a third world war.
I do believe that NATO is a huge reason why we've never had serious like nuclear war threats. Why there's so I think people do not give NATO credit for what it has done historically. But at the same time, I do think that everyone should be paying their fair share of dues, especially given that it's a percentage-based thing. Like,
it's that simple, Drops. And these people have agreed upon it. And there's no fucking buddy that convinced me that countries like Canada, Finland, Spain, France, Germany, that they cannot come up with the money. You're not going to say anything in the world that's going to convince me. They're making a conscious decision
on them. So if a country doesn't meet its obligation, put sanctions on to where they'll end up meeting the obligation. So basically, like a 1%.
Right. But we're supposed to be buddies. How can we fight Ukraine if we're putting sanctions on each other? If we're not united in a goal, how can we fucking go fight Russia if we're fighting each other?
Because there's a bunch of greedy assholes in charge of everything. I care about their.
That's not the answer. That's not the answer.
That's why we have the problems that we do.
The simple answer is pay up. Have fucking some money. I don't know, some skin in the game. There you go. Have some legitimate skin in the game that makes it seem meaningful to the other countries. Because right now, you have people such as me, an American, pissed off at all these other countries, and you have people, that I don't care for.
They don't affect you in any way. Like nothing that they do affects you in almost any way.
Yes, it does. Sure, it does. They're not paying their fair share to NATO, and it affects me because it affects the economy, which affects me personally. To say it doesn't affect me is not a fair statement, Gadwin. It's not a fair statement.
It doesn't. Like
I
you get tax returns.
Take back something that I said, by the way, because I misspoke. Poland actually puts more in than the United States as a percentage. So what I meant was Norway. Norway is like the one where it's like, why the fuck aren't they paying at least 2%? But Poland is putting an insane. They're at 3.90.
Right. Because look, I think Poland's like fucking like on the front line. So I have to praise them.
Norway has a GDP of 485 billion. Like they are a very small country. Like
true, but again, because it's percentage based, I don't
percentage.
Which I think didn't Norway just join?
I think so,
Like
and that's a valid point.
Member.
That's a valid point, but again, like why should we even allow any country into NATO in the first place if they can't meet the obligations?
Finland and Norway just joined NATO like this year, well, last year.
That's true.
So I mean, if
they should have paid, the full amount when they joined up. It's like when I joined the club, I have to pay my entry dues. I can't go to the gym and pay. Here's 3/4. It doesn't work like that.
You have to spend 2% of your GDP on military things in your country. It's not that there's a big pot to throw this money into. It's that means you got to take 2% of GDP and spend it on your military.
Correct.
It's not like you pop it out of nowhere. You can't just say swipe your ATM card and then you send it to fucking NATO and all of a sudden you got your 2% in. No, they actually got to find like military contractors and actually build all this shit up. It doesn't appear like in a year.
Okay, what's your solution? What's your solution, Gadwin? You're making excuses for these countries. What's your solution?
Overnight, which takes years. If you lived like 100
you don't have a fucking answer. It's all bullshit because they're such wonderful countries. Oh, they have a wonderful, what is that? Living, cost of living and all that. Oh, they're so wonderful. They have health care and all. Well, you know what? We spend a lot of money protecting these motherfuckers, Oh, we don't? We don't? Okay. I got you. I got you. You said it. You said we don't spend money. You said we don't spend money fucking protecting countries. I can't believe you fucking need that fucking shallow. I can't believe you just said that.
You don't understand it whatsoever, it seems.
Yeah, I don't understand how you think that. That's what I don't understand.
Military each individual. That's it.
I'm not even fucking listening to you right now because I can't believe what you just said.
It's just a contractual agreement saying, hey, I'll spend 2% of my yearly GDP on building up my military in case NATO gets pulled into shit. I have that military to support them. That's it. It's not us protecting them or anything like that. Just because we spend more.
I'm gonna have to do some research on this. I don't have
right. So who has more of an army? 2% of fucking Finland or 2% of the United States?
Well,
NATO.
It's not like 2% of the United States and that's the army. That's how much money we're putting toward it.
Well, bring in 29 trillion a year.
It's all clear as day to me. If you want to fucking make it all foggy, do it for yourself, because I see just fine. My glasses are clean.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Apparently not.
Apparently, yeah.
Games where we play war games with a bunch of different countries, but that's just to be so that way we're good at communicating with each other, and so we don't end up hitting each other when we actually do go to a real conflict.
Why do you keep bringing up Russia, Walter? It's like you're obsessed with it when nobody's even talking about it.
It's right-wing media. It's right-wing media has been found to be.
Hold on, I think Rash is trying to get in here.
No, we're not talking about right-wing media. We're talking about NATO.
Yeah. Well, we're specifically talking about fair share, whether or not countries in NATO are contributing as they should. Rash, I heard you for a minute. It's pretty bad right now.
Rash, you need to go into KL and go buy some shit. You need to make a day trip to KL.
I don't think it's the mic. I think it's his Wi-Fi. Projection, Walter. Projection.
There you go. There's the NATO article.
By the way, I think you can present, Gadwin. No one's ever done it but me, but I'm pretty sure every person should be able to present their screen.
Okay. Let's see. Yep.
2% of their national gross domestic defense spending to help ensure that wants to continue military readiness.
Gadwin, why is it that that rule even exists? Why does that even exist?
Did you read it? Because if
According to
you
what
did,
he
it
just
would tell you.
Yeah, according to what he just posted, they committed to 2% because of Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and broader instability in the Middle East. You're fine, Rash. This isn't that serious of a deal. You can always come up and try to test shit. It's no big deal. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
No. I'm just curious now. How long has the UN, NATO been in existence? Since post-World War II? Not just
after World War II. It was before that was called the League of Nations. After that, they founded the UN, David Rockefeller Center.
Why was NATO created? What?
To create the strongest hegemon the world has ever seen. I mean, it's not rocket science, really. I mean, this is pretty easy shit.
It's not rocket science to pay your money off, to do what you agreed to,
No,
to do what the treaty said.
is
It's
pretty
a treaty,
easy.
North
There's
Atlantic Treaty. Treaty.
Through
It's a
history.
treaty.
It's a hegemon. It's agreement of nations to go to war if one of the other nations is attacked. We've been using it for all the way back into like Roman times.
Hello, Liz.
Hello, everyone. I'm just here to test my mic as well. How's it coming across?
Sounds fine to me.
Oh,
Sounds very
okay.
clear.
It's clear?
Yep.
Very clear.
Oh, that's good. Last time I was on, Trobs, you know, I found your channel because you came to JT's once.
Uh-huh.
And so I subbed to you from there when you were in the chat.
You gotta be
you haven't been
careful
back there, I
because
noticed.
I don't jump around very much, honestly. In fact, I only stream once a week. Normally, I just focus on my own, whatever it is I'm posting videos
Sorry about that, Drops.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
of course. Yeah, of course. But it was I'm glad you went there because then I was able to find your channel. It's quite different from a lot of the channels I come from, where it's just mainly fighting about people.
Yeah, I don't deal in that. Well, it obviously happens sometimes, and you can't change that. But I don't like intentionally engage in like drama. It's not my shit. I like to have legitimate conversations to where we can work toward. Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
What was that?
Yeah.
I missed it. What did he say?
He said we're not simple-minded.
Who said that?
Gadwin. I mean, that was a mouse in my pocket. No one would say that here.
You know what? There's a lot of shit show panels. I'm not into that shit anymore, you know? I think I've seen you around, Liz, by the way. I've never talked to you. I'm Andy. I don't know. I think I've seen your name around. But anyway, hello.
Yeah, I come from the JC's community, JC and Wigan and Rusty and all those people.
Yeah, well, I've been a visitor over there for about 6 months, so I know the people you're talking about. But this is my home, you know. This is my true home. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you do because I've seen you there. Yeah, that's how I've known of you too. But yeah, I don't panel that often.
Are you talking about Vegas chat?
Yeah, Vegas is also one. New York chat, that's from years and years ago.
Oh.
So yeah, but our community has a lot of fighting. I mean, it has quiet times, but
right. Hell, when I went on, like I debate constantly, especially in comments, and I have never seen anything like. I go there and I make basic statements, and people are like, "That's fucking stupid," and like people are just screaming over each. I'm like, "What the fuck is this, man?" Like I can't do it. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
can't
becomes
Overtalking,
normalized. Trobs, it
overtalking
becomes
is a
normalized.
strategy that they use. Screaming, over talking, trying to suppress your opinion. That's something that they do,
yeah,
and
and
some of them are
it,
quite good at it.
well, it should be clear that if you have to engage in that sort of shit to make a point, you don't have a point, and you're sort of conceding defeat. Like it's like it use your words. If you truly believe your stance, use your fucking words and provide evidence for your claims. That's what you did here today, Andy, by the way. And that's a great thing. And then everybody
Well,
wins.
It's a
you
lack
know,
of critical thinking for the most
look,
part. A lot of people
there's
just
some
want to get
places
caught.
it's nothing but a shit show. They laugh at people's pictures. They talk about people's physical incapabilities and all that. That ain't me. You know, I'm a man. I ain't no punk.
Right. I think it's like a big field of insecurity, and these people like
Well,
deal
it's
with
weak
their
people.
insecurity. Well, it's basically the same thing. Like insecurity makes them weak, which causes
Yeah,
them to like band together and do this like tribal thing where they attack
Oh,
one
yeah,
it's
another
trying.
to
So
feel
they
like
got
they're
pick on one's
powerful.
weaker than them. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
But you know,
very
I've been over there observing, you know, because, you know, like you've run social experiments before, you might be running one right now. But anyway, I go over there and I observe, and oh, man, did I learn some shit observing these people. It's fucking whack,
it's like
you
I've
know.
always enjoyed observation, and people think it's creepy. I disagree. It's fucking it's the best way to get actual like objective data on people and figure out
Like
how
I
their
tell
mind works.
people, I not
well,
only observe, I stare sometimes.
observation is like a more scientific thing, you know, like observing, analyzing data.
Hmm.
That's what science is about: questioning and observing and all those things, instead of just saying something and trying to make people believe you because this is my idea, is so away from science. Like you need, like you said before, Trobs, I have to go and research that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I have a lot of general ideas of what I like, what I don't like, but you still have to research stuff.
I completely
And
agree, and I'll go further. Too often in this day and age, do people do the opposite? I am
yeah,
honest and say, "Hey, I need to go research this," and they go, "Ha! You don't know anything about what you're talking about." Like that's an ad hominem. It's like it's changing instead of dealing with the substance of whatever it is we're talking about and admitting, by the way, it's not weakness to admit you don't know something, it's strength. It's being honest. So like people and then go like, "Oh, you don't know any." I'm not trying to prove to the world that I'm a genius. I'm trying to seek truth. There's a big difference
yeah,
between those.
well, it's like
yeah,
when I say things too, it's like I say it from my observations, you know, it's my personal
Right.
experience because that's all I had to go off was what I experienced and how I experienced it.
yeah, yeah. Well, same. I think that builds the foundation. But like I've never heard on YouTube, and I've been here about 5.5 years. Someone say I need to research that because it's a lot of it's bluff,
Mhm.
and a lot of it's like if you don't agree with me, you're a lefty, you're a tree hugger, you're a hippie, you know what I mean? There's no argument
That
there. It's just name
that's
calling.
really showing their oh, I can't. They're like a sociopath. It's a lot of them are trying to manipulate people just for to get the praise from seeming smart.
Mhm. That does happen a lot, and I'll agree with a lot of them. It's still complicated because there's many different like factors that lead into that sort of behavior. But I would agree. I
Narcissists
would
and
agree
so
that
on,
there are many
psychopaths.
that are yeah.
And being that social media has given them all a megaphone nowadays, they use
Yes.
that all the millions of people that use Twitter, only like 5% of people post anything. And it's mostly like your sociopathic people narcissist people who want attention and shit like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot.
I think that the issues we face in the world are very complicated. I'll just pick one, for example, the Middle East. Now, the amount of history, the amount of learning, the amount of understanding you have to get to see where we are today is enormous. Do you know what I mean? Like, people make blanket statements of how the Middle East should be.
You're
Yeah, I
right,
know.
But
and a
it's
lot of times it's
But
Go
yet they
ahead.
don't even understand
You're
like
fine.
numbers or Arabic numerals.
Well, they don't want to is the issue. They're not
Yeah.
interested in learning what's behind the conflict and like all the history, all the important things that you need to be able to dig into to have an informed
Yes.
decision on it. They don't care because they're engaging in tribalism for the most part. Their side
Yeah.
picked this particular stance on the Middle East. So they're going to do that regardless because they just trust them with like these blanket statements, as you said. And
Yeah.
it's terrible. It fucking ruins education, discourse,
Yeah.
any attempt at actually solving problems.
Well, I see this
Exactly.
with religious people too, who have like people who have been so isolated from the world that all they know is religion, and then they come
Yeah.
into the real world and they have no idea because they were never taught anything. They're just completely ignorant to the real world, like with
Yeah.
Amish and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it also, I think you look at history, the power of the people could overturn, many, 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 many civilizations. And if we keep fighting amongst ourselves, particularly with religious doctrines, then we're all going to miss the bigger picture,
It's
like
not even
looking
religious
after the
anymore.
planet.
It's cultural. If you look, like, did you hear about the guy who shot? So apparently, I think it was New York City, or no, South. I think it was on the West Coast. Apparently, this anti-Semite, he thought he saw people from Palestine, so he got his gun and shot them to find out they're Israelis here on a visit.
Oh,
So he's going to prison for a long time for attempted murder on 2 foreigners, and also because he thought they were Palestinians and the things he said to the police. He's going down for like hate crimes.
yeah.
But
We've
he's
had
pro-Israeli.
yeah.
Yeah, he's pro-Israeli.
Since the Gaza war, we've also had heightened tensions in Australia, anti-Semitism and, a lot of rallies and whatnot. It's a global problem. And I'm looking forward, I'm sure Trubs is too, to going to a Trump hotel in Gaza in 10 years.
Of course, that's my greatest ambition in life.
I bet. Me too. Holiday in Gaza. Have you ever heard of something more fucking... Is he serious?
I honestly believe he's serious, and then half the time he waits for the public to react, and then he goes, he does that thing where he hides in like, oh, it was just a joke. I wasn't being serious. Like, I think he is 100% serious. I could be wrong, but I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting what I was talking about in the chat before. I listened to, we have a lot of analysis shows in Australia, and it's 2 dudes that was analysing the past week with Trump. And one of the interesting things that came up was he just did a speech about Zelensky, mentioning something about Zelensky is the dictator or whatever. And they were like, that's a crazy statement. And then they said that they think Trump is really pissed off with Zelensky because they're trying to do a deal about the precious metals in Ukraine. And Trump, they did get close to a deal apparently, but then Trump got a bit greedy and wanted more like precious minerals to be
We
like
don't
in
remember 2017, 2018, Zelensky wouldn't give dirt on Biden to Trump. and it got him impeached and all that. That's why he's mad at Ukraine.
Well,
Yeah.
part of it, but also it's just crazy. It's not even resembling a legitimate deal. It's like obvious that he's not even trying, because 50%, and by the way, a lot of people are making other claims. It's not within a time frame. He wants 50% of all of their mineral rights forever, going forward,
Yeah.
always.
Mm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
no one
Yeah.
takes that
It's
seriously.
unrealistic.
I know. Like, it's what the fuck? Like, what
Yeah.
did you just say?
Yeah. It's also a humanitarian problem with Russia invading Ukraine, and
Would
to
you see all
put
the
a
children they
monetary
took? Like, so Russia
and
so
to
far
put a
kidnapped
money.
like 30,000 children and have them in re-education camps. Like when they invaded all these
Yeah.
Ukrainian cities, they kidnapped children, thousands of them.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Well, and the thing
Putin
is,
is
Russia
brutal.
has been painting Ukraine as a Nazi. They're trying to play off as though Ukraine has become like the German Nazis from the 1930s, and they're
Yeah.
invading Russia. When it's
Yeah.
literally the opposite around. It's Russia as being the Nazis
Yeah.
this time and tried to blitzkrieg
Yeah.
Ukraine and failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a worry. There's a lot of worries at the moment.
We live in an upside down world where facts don't mean anything to one side and they believe the complete opposite, like the flat earth movement.
Yep. So I won't say that the left never denies facts, because that would be false. But let's also not engage in the middle ground fallacy and assume that both sides like are crazy equally, because it's not fucking true. Like we've literally
It
got
isn't.
we've got a side that literally gets
The left
people
will
to
admit they're
believe.
wrong.
Like I love using this because of how fucking crazy it is. That fucking they're eating cats and dogs. And literally,
Bullshit.
like half of the
That was
fucking
bullshit.
population start parroting it like it's a fact when it's just made up.
Well,
Like,
again, it wasn't half the population. It's
that's true.
amplified with social media, and
That's
it's
true.
like only like a fifth of the population actually voted. So I mean,
So
Yeah.
you're right. So it's MAGA specifically, and
for
MAGA is
MAGA,
not
a
half
fifth
of the
vote.
population, but they
Yeah.
are loud and they're over-reported, so it makes you think that it's like bigger than it is.
I've blamed
Yeah.
the media over and over. It's these big media networks, especially
You're
like
right.
Murdoch. Murdoch
Murdoch,
owns all
thank
the
you.
media in
Sorry from
Australia.
Australia.
He owns everything in Australia.
Rupert Murdoch. I rue the day that empire. Rue the day that empire. That you're exactly right.
He literally set his whole empire up to destroy America, and that's what it's done. He's the political discourse was mostly set up by Rupert Murdoch. He got rid of the
Yep.
Glass-Steagall Act, which made it where
Yep.
media could be completely right wing or left wing or whatever. They used to have to be a center balanced media about politics, and people got a pretty balanced idea about things. But after they removed Glass-Steagall or the Fairness Act, sorry, not Glass-Steagall. Glass-Steagall was finance reform. It's the Fairness
Okay.
Act, Fairness Doctrine. That was it. Where the media had to be fair on either ends, but they removed that in the 80s with Reagan, and then they got your Rush Limbaugh and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I also saw on the a show I was watching last night that there's like Trump might say something, there might be a new narrative put forward, and then X, because of course Musk, X will then flood that Twitter, I'll call it, with that sort of view. So it goes back to the media and,
Which it's
also,
mostly MAGA now. It's on that X platform. It's mostly that base only there.
We've got a person in chat that hasn't engaged before. I want to kind of include them because they've never been around. It says, barely been here for the discussion, but I have a question. What would U.S. supporting Ukraine's war against Russia mean for the world in the long term? If you guys want to take a crack at that.
Well, showing that we're not going to just let somebody that we've supported since, going back to the fall of the USSR. Actually, the president of Ukraine, back before Zelensky, actually he wanted to get rid of all the KGB, well, the ex-KGB and all that shit that was in Ukraine, and actually had the CIA come in and help them root out all the spies, all the bullshit from Russia, and push that out of Ukraine. Got fair elections, learned how to set up a national defense system, intelligence, and all that. We've basically helped them set up everything there, and for that agreement, they disarmed and got rid of all nuclear weapons in the country.
Yeah.
And chemical weapons. Like everything was just gotten rid of if we did all that for them. And we stuck to, and part of that deal was if they ever got invaded by Russia, we would help them. So we were already obligated to help them from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Your right wingers tend not to be very educated on things, and they tend not to even remember details. I mean, I've dealt with so many people who I've talked to them one day about things. They tell me things, and they don't even remember having the conversation. I'll bring up the details, and they're just like, "Wait, when did I tell you this?" And it's like, well, "You just told me last week." Like,
I can't talk shit on that one because I probably have a worse memory than most right wingers. I'm not chiming in on that one.
Like, I can't repeat exactly the sentence you said for me, but I will remember the details that you told me in that sentence, and I will hold on to that information.
I will generally remember a big picture takeaway from the interaction.
Exactly.
That's what I'll remember. I won't remember details. I can't. Like my memory.
Well, if you tell me things about you and things like that, I'm going to remember that.
No, my memory is bad. Yeah. Yes, sorry. My memory is shocking. But I'm aware of that. And I smoke a bit of weed, so I don't think that helps. But it's not just that. I think we have, we're all different, and memorizing things isn't really good for me. But I have a strength in other areas.
Roar said, "I don't
like,
think
for
that
example,
answers my question."
Oh, what do we benefit from it? Well, we'll have long-lasting trade deals with them. And again, Ukraine is the breadbasket for Europe. So, like, the EU gets a lot of their grains, like wheat, sunflowers, and they use that sunflower for oil, for cooking oil. And also they export a lot of oil. I forget how much, but it's quite a lot every year. So we'd probably take a part of that, help them build up their infrastructure, and then use that as a military staging ground. So then we'd have a naval base in the Baltic, or not the Baltic, the Black Sea, sorry. And we'd also be able to put anti-ballistic missile installations in Ukraine. So if Russia tried to shoot another ballistic weapon up, we could shoot it down.
And I think a country like the US has to support Ukraine, because when it gets down to it, it was one country invading another country, and that's
we did
not on.
Georgia, Crimea, and we pretty much stood by in 2007, 2014.
Yeah, and the danger is if Putin could just take over the Ukraine easily, he has agreed and lust for power, and also ideologies about what he thinks he needs or his country needs. You've got to stop it. Yeah, but you've got to stop. If he got Ukraine, what's next? And that's why NATO is important.
Yep.
I mean, look at history. People just take over countries because they want to.
Well, this
and
is why
particularly now
need to have
with medals.
People cannot have absolute power like Putin. It will corrupt all who wield it. Absolute. And we've seen this in multiple studies. If you give anybody power, even illusion of power, they will soon abuse that power.
Exactly.
Walter, the best thing you can do, rather than chime away and throw ad hominems ad nauseum at all of my guests, come on panel and correct us. Let us know where we're incorrect.
Come educate me, Daddy.
Exactly. I'm not tribal. I'm not a nationalist. I don't defend the US. In fact, I talk shit about the US constantly.
I'm a conversationalist. That's what I am.
As is your right as being a citizen of the US.
Right,
Of the
but you don't. I don't believe I need to be. Like, if I lived in Panama, I could talk shit about the U.S. If I lived in Australia, I could talk shit about. Like, you can talk shit about anything as long as you're backing. Well, you can do it, period. But it's better if you can back it with some form of logical reasoning for why you're talking shit, which I do.
Which I
Like,
feel that's why it gives me the most right to talk the most shit about America, because it's lived experience.
that and it gives you a little bit more credibility because our taxpayer dollars are being used to fucking fund all this evil shit that's going on. Like,
Exactly.
it to some
Well,
extent, it's like because
kinda.
of us. Yeah, kinda. It's.
I mean, I've never made it where I paid in like hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. Like I've never, or income a year. So therefore, I've always got income tax returns. So that means I've only paid into Medicare, Social Security, basically, and that's pretty much it. I've got everything back. Most people that I've known, that's the same for them.
Mhm.
Now you have your people who pay your quarterlies, who get like your big salaries and stuff like that, where they make 1,000, 1,200 a week. They pay quarterly taxes, and then they pay over. Oh, they make over 50,000 to make 100,000 a year, so they'll actually pay in a good portion into those things. So they actually are the one. Middle class is what pays for things.
Mhm. Yeah, that's fair.
We talk about knowledge and facts and research, and also making sure your sources are not fucked up. You know what I mean?
Most people
Well, that's
don't
why
do that.
I like the AI
So
now,
there's
because it does all
yeah,
the sources. It goes through a whole bunch of them, and then it gets information from all those, and then combines it into a coherent paragraph.
yeah, yeah. And so there's all that. But I have one thing that I base my life on now. Is it a humanitarian act? Are we acting in a way that is caring for other people? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have beliefs based on many things, like your research, and also how there are some people that do not care about other people.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that goes
And
back to what I was
that's the
saying earlier about
facts.
psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists.
Yeah.
You have all these different types of people, and with the population, like, so you went back to the early 1900s, there was 1 billion people on the planet. We're at like 9 billion people almost now. So you're going to see traits more amplified because there's just more of those people now, and then with social media, it's going to amplify that even more. So you're going to see more psychopaths, sociopaths, people who lack empathy for other people.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily their fault, they're just hardwired that way.
You're being kind to myself.
No, they
no,
just
I
can't
do get that.
They don't have
They have
literally compassion for other things. Like, they're just born that way.
Yeah, the part of the brain. They've done, studies on the brains of psychopaths and whatever, and there's shrinkage in the area compared to normal brains. I think, and that brings into nature and nurture as well. That's a whole big argument, isn't it? Nature and nurture. So that's a whole other thing.
Well, the humans altogether are just a freak mutation that was never supposed to happen. I mean, we are conscious beings that were never meant to be in a world like where we could actually like look at things in a conscientious way. Like, it's just we're supposed to be just animals walking around the buff, just shitting where we walk, kind of just eating what we find, and that was it. But our ancestors got high on mushrooms in the Serengetis and such, trip out, and it caused a neural connections in the brain, which then advanced us into becoming this.
It's interesting, especially me being in Australia. We're only sort of new, white Australia, only 200 plus years, really. And the peoples that lived here before we came
Aborigines.
were here for like 40,000 years.
Yeah, but
And all they
you're
did,
still humans. It's no matter what. If I took your DNA and their DNA, it'd come out you're both human. Straight up, that's your race as human being. They have different mutations because of their adaptations to those thousands of years of living in that climate. So your ancestors came from a northern climate lacking sunlight, so therefore the skin had to whiten with less melanin, so
yeah,
therefore it absorbed
yeah,
more sunlight, so you got vitamin D, so you weren't
yeah.
deficient in vitamin D. That's all
No, I
skin
know all
color
that.
is.
Yeah, I know all that. But what I'm saying is that communities that lived here for like 40,000 years, they weren't really warring and whatnot. They lived in nature. This is only 200,
Well,
you
they
know,
have a word. Thank
20
you,
years
because
ago.
you just did things to help
I'm
each other.
talking about humanity, you know, like we can take it backwards, but I don't think we can.
Well, if you look at history, like if you go to the Sentinelese Island people, you get near that island, they try to kill you, and they're
Well,
never
they
had
know
human.
shit.
They haven't had human contact other than the Christian who went there and got eaten.
Yes, I've seen that. Did you guys all see that guy?
Yeah, I mean, the irony, he tries to preach Jesus. Like, how was he even supposed to teach him Jesus? They don't even speak fucking English, you idiot. Like,
I
I
couldn't
haven't seen it.
believe. Oh, okay. It's quite a famous case. He went there to save them. He went there illegally because it's quite known they do not want other people coming onto their island. They've been known to be aggressive, the Sentinelese, and it's one of the last Indigenous peoples that are cut off from the rest of the world. I think there are a few more.
Yeah, they're in Australia mostly, actually.
So what was it, like people being entitled and arrogant that caused them to like fucking disregard the fact that they don't want it, they want to be left alone?
You nailed it. So this guy believes in God. He wanted to go and, you know,
Preach.
I don't know, change them, which is
Convert them.
insane.
I see it as his just fucking rewards that he got killed then. Like,
well, they're known to be cannibals too, so I mean, they ate his ass.
Well, that's their fucking their way of life, the way they've always been, and I don't think anyone, myself, anyone, has any right to go in their territory and judge and try to change them, whatever.
No,
Leave them the fuck alone.
I would like to tranquilize one and just get a DNA sample just to see. Well, because they have a limited population, so their DNA, like, how did they not become mongoloid, basically? Because eventually it becomes inbreeding. They're all inbred.
Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting.
I haven't
They
thought
do
about
look, yeah, they do look physically. They look fine, you know, like the old English kings and royals and nobility.
Well, exactly. They're not those things.
Really weird chin thing happening.
I mean, if you looked all through history, anybody who had a kid that was messed up from at birth, they just left him out in the woods and nature took its course. That's how they dealt with that.
Not the royals.
Except for the few of them. There's some of those they did do that with. You just didn't know about it. It was a miscarriage.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I know all about the Habsburgs jaw, and
exactly
the one in Spain where he was so inept, like his testicles were supposedly black and everything like that. Like he couldn't.
That's exactly who I was talking about. But like I mentioned before, my memory, like I know the gist of the story, but
the
I couldn't remember.
Habsburgs were a British from the British family. The British family eventually married into all the European families to where they were just marrying cousins to cousins, and
for political for political alliances.
Yep, and so actually, like the Egyptians, they actually married brother to sister, daughter to the father. You know, things like that. It was pretty messed up for the Egyptians, and that's why you've seen a lot of the cleft foot, cleft palate, cleft lip, other mutations. It comes from that inbreeding, and then that's why the same from the Habsburgs.
Yeah, and looking at the Sentinelese, they physically they look fine. So it is, you could Google that actually about the theories on their genetic diversity. I
Usually it
might
takes
do
around
that.
50 pairs to keep a diverse population going.
How do you spell Sentinelese?
I'll just type in North Sentinelese. I'm sure you'll get it close. Google will come in and
Okay.
Yeah,
believe me,
I'm
I'm
not
horrible at
doing it
spelling.
right now, but I want to
Yeah.
definitely dig into this later. It sounds really interesting. I haven't heard about it.
Yeah. And having a quick look at the dude that went to save them who got killed is a really interesting I don't know, it shows that people are still thinking that they can go and take over other communities and tell them what they've been living with for, thousands of years is wrong, and, this is our idea.
Well, just look at the
I mean,
Spanish Inquisition or
colonizing.
the
It's
Spanish
just
into
colonizing.
South America.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of what we as the United States have done to like all of Latin America, to parts of Africa,
Yeah.
the Middle East. We go there and we go, ha, you bunch of backward fucking idiots. Let us like
Dum-dums.
completely let us completely like subjugate you to our currency and
Yeah.
force you to do our bidding and then claim that we're doing it to raise you into the future.
We haven't really done that as much as say England has.
We know what's good
or
for you.
Spain,
True.
or
Now,
France.
I wouldn't compare it necessarily. You're absolutely right. When it comes to imperialism, we don't have shit on like England, especially of like yesteryear.
Yeah.
But it's still bad. It's still
Yeah. But we've tried to make up
course.
with that, like U.S. aid, where we literally provide the food that feeds people of some nations. Like without things like that, a lot of people would just starve to death, or wouldn't even be able.
That is true, and that's why I defended USAID before fucking Trump froze it, and I think is going to completely dismantle it and destroy it entirely. So that was the case,
basically. So it was buying a bunch of grain that would literally sit in grain silos
Yep.
and rot. And now that grain is just going to sit and rot, and farmers aren't going to make any money because the government's not spending $200 billion a year to buy their extra grain.
That's the thing that a lot of people on the right don't understand. It's mutually beneficial. They make it sound like we're just sending all of our resources to people. That's not what happens. One, it's about soft power, which is very important on the world stage, and like relations with other countries.
Well, and just world development.
Yes, and also people remember shit like that. Like we were completely fucked. Like couldn't stand up on our own, and this one country decided to fucking help us out, and we got over our little hump, and now they remember it and they respect us for it. But but like they don't see all of the nuance. Like everything's black and white to them. It's weird.
Well, they just go with right-wing talking points from what I've seen.
Yeah.
It's just repeating the same garbage. It's a bunch of billionaires telling millionaires, telling the middle class to hate the poor people. And so if they cut all the poor people programs, then they can make more tax cuts for the rich. And that's basically all we're seeing with Trump.
Yeah,
he's cutting all the things to help the poor so they can give the rich a $4.5 trillion tax cut. That's all he's doing. It's only going to affect 7,000 people. Well, like the tax.
I'm thinking with all the cuts, the trickling down effect must already be being felt by a lot of people, but I'm just wondering how many more people are going to be impacted by all these cuts.
They just fired thousands of IRS employees today, or was it today? I think today. Yeah, I think I've seen the videos on YouTube. But I think they're firing up to like 7,000 employees from the IRS, and that's just a start of supposedly 3 million people. So when you take 3 million middle incomes out of the economy, that's people going to be defaulting on their house loans, their car payments, I mean, everything. And then you're going to see foreclosure rates skyrocket. You're going to see repo things go way through the roof.
So this is the idea, like the idea that the right like to push, that like this is for us, for taxpayers. That is bullshit. This is only for tax fucking subsidies for the wealthy. No one is good. We as like taxpayers are not going to benefit from these cuts. We're actually getting hurt by them, like the National Forest Service, the fucking how many plane crashes has happened since he fucking deregulated the
FFA.
The FFA. So like over and over, we're showing he is hurting us while claiming that he's cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. That's not what they're doing. This isn't about waste, fraud, and abuse.
Exactly. They're looting.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're looting the treasury. It's bullshit. And so many people are falling for it. And they're like, yeah, we're all going to be doing so much better.
Well, did you see they now think they're going to get a $5,000 to $8,000 check in the mail from Trump because of the savings, supposedly?
I don't see it, but let's say that they cut a $5,000 check. Even then, it doesn't add up. It's still a con job because of the amount of slashes they're making. They're still sending insane amounts, almost all of it, to the fucking 1%. Like, even if he does that, which I don't believe, it's still bullshit.
Hey, I see them crashing the farming, so then all the rich can buy up all the farms on pennies on the dollars because farmers got to pay their debts, and well, the bank wants the money, and they're going to crash everything, and it's just going to be a very few guys owning everything.
So Rash brings up a theory that I've heard, and I don't know how serious it is. I won't say that I automatically bought into it, but according to a lot of people that I've heard, the United States is failing and has been failing, and we're hitting like a sort of hyper end of the capitalism loop type deal. Like this is the end. And it happens with pretty much every capitalist nation, according to their theory. And what's happening is Trump is jumping in and trying to like do everything, sell off everything and do everything he can to make money before that happens because there's nothing to lose anymore. Now, again, I don't know how serious this is or whether there's like a bunch of evidence to back it. But
I think we're at the top. Like there was nobody going to touch us. Like nobody was even close. When that Chinese report came out where most of their rockets were full of fucking water, like their whole military is just a fucking joke. Like it just showed. And then also the display of Russia getting their ass kicked, just like when Finland, they tried to invade Finland and they're like this one sniper took out over 200 and some fucking guys. Like, like they just got their asses into it. It just shows Russia as a paper tiger or paper bear. Sorry.
I've always used paper tiger.
Yeah, well, there's a
bear.
Oh,
I get it. I get it. Right. I've always just used paper tiger for every example for that, but I get what you're doing.
Yeah, China's more the paper tiger. Yeah, they're paper bear in the north. But they're both they're strong on paper, but when it comes to the reality, they're nothing. Like China hasn't even been at war. It's kind of like when you watch the North Koreans over in the Ukraine. Like they have zero war experience. They haven't been in war since the 1950s. Nobody in the army has any experience. And they get there and they're running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off because they don't know shit. The U.S. has been in wars nonstop for years upon years. That keeps you good. That keeps you trained. That keeps you operational.
I agree with that, but I will say that that's not always a good thing.
No.
If we're attacking a country or something and like we're doing like a false flag attack, kind of like
Bush.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Just like Bush, then that's a terrible thing because we have the best trained forces in the world, and if our interests aren't in the greater good, so to speak, that's fucking terrible because people can't stand up to it. But I do agree with what you're saying.
But if Russia was not in the way of most of, like, say, the last 50 years of progress, like, so if you look at every conflict, Russia's been the backer of the other side on almost every one of them, from the Syrian conflict to the Taliban. Like, we backed the Taliban, gave them weapons to fight the Russians. Well, then the Russians pulled out, and then the Taliban turned around and used them on us.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much shit like that. That's where it is. It's just this tit for tat bullshit about the Cold fucking War yet. And that's the whole. So if Russia goes away, the backer of most of these nations that cause most of these conflicts goes away, and I think we would see more of a stabilized world peace.
Right. Okay. To address a point that Walter makes here, You can't keep doing the schizophrenia shtick with Russia. Either they're some paper tiger or they're a serious threat to the West. I don't think you understand the point. Yes, I can only speak for myself here, but I believe that they're a paper tiger, paper bear, whatever you want to call them. However, that will not always be the case. The entire reason why they're looking to make up these excuses about NATO promises in the past, fighting Nazis, all this bullshit that so many people believe, is so that they can fucking increase their empire. And just like with Poland, that's why I constantly use it in World War II with fucking Germany. If we just stand by and let them take over another sovereign territory to expand their empire, they will become more powerful. This is not crazy. This is not a conspiracy.
It's a land grab. That's all that was.
It's
Just look at the exports of Ukraine. It's oil and farm goods. And if Russia had more food and more oil, therefore they grow their bigger everything. And it's more southern. And it gave them a freshwater port. That's why they took Crimea. Crimea is literally like a peninsula. It sticks out right below Ukraine. Or Crimea used to be part of Ukraine.
Exactly. And that actually brings up an interesting point. You could make the argument that we, meaning like all of NATO, the UN, whatever, should have acted with Crimea. That was an illegal power grab on the international stage. So we already let them get away with shit that we shouldn't. And don't tell me that Crimea did not make Russia more powerful. That would be a stupid point.
It gave them the port and the Black Sea.
Exactly. It was huge. And so we already let them get away. Like, at what point do you say, like, we can't just let fucking Russia take over everything it sees as obstacles for its power?
Yeah.
You can't.
We don't take over. Like, as America, we go in, we either help one side or fucking beat up both sides. I mean, it's just kind of a shit show most times.
This is another thing that constantly
we leave them with the sovereignty of their nation.
True. So the Azov battalion constantly gets brought up, and this shows that they've fed into the Putin propaganda bullshit. Azov battalion was real, yes, but it was a one little tiny fucking unit in their entire army, and you guys fell for the Putin bullshit that like, oh, their entire military is full of neo-Nazis. That's bullshit.
Well, it's Russian tanks are the ones who are driving around with the fucking Z on the side.
I know it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Russia is the example of the thing. They're projecting their neo-Nazi shit onto other people. It's hilarious. And you buy it and you're like, oh yeah, Ukraine, they're Nazis. Are you serious? You're talking about fucking Russia here that's making this accusation. Like, you can't make shit like this up.
He fell for the right-wing propaganda. And we've seen with Tim Pool, Mark Rubin, and them, they were all funded by Russian actors. Like, their money came from Russia. They were told to push Russian talking points. And it fooled a lot of idiots. They ain't going to check the information. They don't care.
Well, they don't. Right. Exactly. They don't care. They don't look into anything. They just freaking go with whatever it is. It's confirmation bias. That's it.
Okay, guys, I've got to get going. Thanks for the chat. It was nice to come up. I'm glad my mic is working. I'll see you guys around, and let's all hope for the best.
Have a good one.
We will. Have a good one. Thanks for coming up.
And find beauty in every day, regardless.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, see, we both did. We both have photographs kind of resembling that.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
See ya. We're going to be running for another 20 minutes. That'll be 2 hours and a half.
All right.
Yeah. But
get back to my Balthazar.
I'm going to be jumping into, I'm working on a High Elves campaign right now. I've been into Still Faith Overhaul. It's a whole different experience. I love it. Everything's more small. Like, like the experience of in vanilla, when you get past a certain point, you steamroll, and then you have like 20, 30 fucking armies. That's just so much micromanagement. With Still Faith, you don't get that many armies, and it's sort of on a smaller scale.
You should see my Belagar campaign. I got all the way from Telia, stretching all the way over to Cathay.
Damn. So to me, I end up starting over a lot because it's no fun at that point. When you have
Well-
this massive stretch of fucking land and like there's no one that could ever possibly give you any challenge, it's just not fun anymore.
Well, that's where it becomes about like positioning your borders. Like, so I have border guards at different places. So if shit would
Mhm.
kick off, I have them there. Then I have my main forces that I move around as like their own campaign, basically. Like, okay, this is my next target. So I'll align armies before I start war with them. And then as soon as I start war, man, I just invade, like blitzkrieg the fuck out of them. Their cities are disappearing as quick as they.
I do the same thing, and sometimes if especially if they're really powerful and I'm concerned about my chances, then I will overload the border with them, like the first territory I'm going to take, and I will wait for them to finish. Like if they're extremely powerful, they're going to end a war with another faction pretty quickly, and then they're going to automatically declare war. Usually, it won't be me. And the moment they declare war, I give them like a couple of turns to invade, to push all their forces in that direction,
Yep.
and then I invade.
Yep. You flank them.
It's kind of cheese, but it's legitimate. It's not really
I mean, it's
cheating.
tactical. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like if you're going to, if you have a horde of fucking orcs that are, you know, taking over the land, and you can't take them head on. You're gonna wait for them to kind of migrate off and then hit them from behind.
Yeah,
Take-
it would
you
be
weaken
dumb to
'em.
do otherwise. But then it does suck if when they succeed and they have like a fucking 6 stack like coming at your ass, and it's like fuck.
Oh, I hate whenever they get all those fucking units or regiments of renown and come at you with a whole stack, and it's like, come
Yep.
on.
Yep, they suck.
I just had to go against Grim Gordon. He was doing that shit to me.
At that point, I hope I have at least one army that has what's that called? Where I can't remember what it's called. It's in the blue line. That it has 3 different things to unlock it. It makes it to where if there's other armies around, you can attack just one of them.
Yeah, the ambush.
No, I can't remember
Where you
what
can
it's called.
isolate one army out and
Yes.
just fight one army.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
I
very
mean, I
important
always
one.
get it. I mean, it's one of those things that's just like I'm mandatorily good on that line just to get that.
I jump around a little bit, but I like to get it by at least 25-ish. Like
Yeah,
on my
around
general.
mid-game.
Yeah,
Now,
I
first,
need to
I
have
always
it by
get the
then.
movement, and then I get the experience one next, and then I go down there and usually get 3 points on whatever my ranged units are in the red tree.
Damn, that's
And-
exactly what I do.
And then I go up if I get some of the special ones that go across the top anywhere. I'll grab those, and then if I need to, I'll just start going down the blue line, get my regeneration, because a lot of times you're like the dwarves, elves, and such, their health regeneration's on the blue line, so you want to get down there to the end so you get that regeneration.
Normally, the
usually-
very the last thing on the blue line is a big one too. Like,
Yeah, that one I
usually.
like too because it's like an 8%.
Especially
upkeep
for
reduction.
vampires, because it gives you a plus 20 magic or something per turn, and magic for vampires is everything. Like
Mhm.
in comparison to other races.
Winds of death.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I don't like playing them because you have to pretty much manually fight every fight,
True.
and auto resolve they're fucking weak.
Yep, it's true, and that does
I
kind of
just
suck.
rolled them.
But I think it's
So-
fun though. It's like the whole play style. Like you can lose a whole stack due to like a really close battle, pull back and like get those areas where the skulls are, and just fucking
Mhm.
blah 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 blah. You like got your whole damn forces back in one turn.
Yeah, I mean you can kind of do that with the chaos then too. I mean,
That's true.
just move into a new territory, get a whole bunch of marauders and such.
I like that too. But I have to constantly move around. I get bored of any one thing. So I play everything in that game. There's no faction that I never play.
I've played them once. Well, there's 2 factions I've only played once. That was the pirate vampires.
Yeah, that's my least favorite.
That's my least favorite.
Yeah.
And then the lizard men.
Yep, that's probably my second or third least favorite. I'm not a fan of them either. They're
played as,
strong.
Croc Cigar. Yeah, the big blue one. I played as him once. I
Yeah,
was like,
I think they're strong. It's just not fun. It's
just not my thing. I'm not into the
Yeah.
whole Aztec.
yeah, me either.
I'm a high elves and dwarves mainly. That's my biggest factions. I wanted to play an Empire faction, but I wanted to be different. So I got the Balthazar Galley because I remember they had the little collagen. But I did it differently. So I did the Cathay part where I killed the rebels, and then I took the option to go back to the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got back there, and I was like, "Oh, because you have no settlements when you get sent back to the Empire. You're just given 25,000 gold, 0 upkeep for 10 turns, and 0 trespassing penalties."
Mm.
So I just went meandering around, kind of. I was like, "Oh, there's the Black Pit." So I killed the orcs real quick, took that. That was my capital, and then I just got Marienburg. Was fighting the vampires.
You know what changed in Warhammer 3 that was like massive for diplomacy that I love more than anything? And that is something, it's so simple.
The quick.
The what?
The
Oh,
quick
actually,
thing.
yeah, that is a big deal, but that's not what I'm talking about specifically right now. Right now, it used to be a mod, which is how things usually work, but then they incorporated it to the main game. It is being able to trade nearby settlements, because if you're ever in a pinch and like say like I was high elves once and I'm fighting Marathi, and I know just by relations that fucking what's his name, the main dark elf leader,
Malekith.
yeah, I know Malekith's about to fucking declare war on me, and I'm not ready. So all you got to do is fucking take the northern border to where their region is and trade a settlement, and boom, you get relations enough to. It's like overpowered, I think, but it's very useful.
I actually like to build certain nations, like like I'll go in and say like the elves are going crazy through Bretonia. I'll go in and kick the shit out of the elves and then give Bretonia all their lands back and build a united Bretonia. And then I'll build like the United Empire beside me. Try to build these empires around me.
I do
and
that too.
way I use them as a shield amongst anybody else, because then they're gonna have to go through them before they ever get to me.
I do that. Well, I do that anyway, but it's also fun when you have well, with vampires. When I play Manfred's campaign, I like to make a lot of vassals, and you can give your vassals it. I also use a mod that makes it to where if you take territory that isn't green for you, it will automatically give you the option of handing it to your vassal. And it's very awesome. It's just fun to play, and you can do what you're saying and have buffer zones, like an entire region, like your western flank is covered by your vassals, and that way you don't have to worry about it.
Aren't as strong as say like an empire.
That is true. But a lot of that's because they give a certain amount of their income to you, but
That's why I don't like confederating either. So if I can keep that empire independent and let them keep fighting wars and funding their own wars, and I don't have to be the one funding it and managing it at all, I'll do that as long as I can. So like I was helping the one dwarf down in the south fighting lizard men. So he was losing his territory. So I went down there, started capturing everything for him, and I just gave him everything back.
I do that too.
A strong buffer at my south.
I also like it. Well, there's the buffer thing, but I also like things to be thematic and like immersive. Yeah. So I'm not gonna take fucking Karoks of like the fucking dwarves if I'm playing a race that allies with them. It just, I don't like it. It's not fun.
Oh, I'm so
I want to give the dwarves their shit back.
That new Empire faction, she came down south. Literally, I was about to take that very southern dwarf hold where that one is. It's on the little hammer throne, gets carried around. All the way down there, I was literally one turn away from it. She fucking pops in there and fucking takes it. I'm like, oh, you fucking bitch! She fucking
pisses me off.
They have Kara and Karak. I have everything else. They have another one at the south area that I can't get from. And I have like 400,000 gold. They will not sell the shit to me whatsoever.
See, that's one of the problems. It works in your benefit if you're selling to someone else, and they actually give you probably maybe a little more than it's worth. But in reverse, if you want it, like you have to declare war, because like it's always percentage based. Like they want more than you even have. Even if you have like 400,000 gold, they won't accept it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like you need to fix this shit.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I think with it.
Mm.
I found you have to at least get a settlement that's probably equivalent or higher value, and then you just trade it with them.
I've never been able to make it work. Like, does the settlement have to be worth more or something, or like better?
So it's based off of economic value. So if you want to build a couple of the economic buildings in real quick, get the value it comes in every day, and that would increase the value of what it trades at.
Oh, I
So
didn't realize it worked that way. So if you build up a settlement, it increases the value of what people are willing to give for a trade.
yeah, so if it's
Okay.
just ruins, it's just not worth anything.
Well, sometimes if I build something up enough, that and I want something really badly, usually the AI don't spend as much or try to like
Well, if they're
throw
giving you one
funds.
coin, that means they have nothing left.
Right.
That's their whole bank.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of times they don't have much money, especially if they're getting their ass kicked. They'll just pretty
Yeah.
much give you everything they have, and
That's the thing with playing immersive. You have to pick and choose your battles still because you can't be like I'm the good guys and like if you're playing as fucking the leader of the dwarves or something, that like you can't just go, oh, they're attacking the empire, I'm going to automatically declare war on anyone who declares war on the empire. You'll get fucking steamrolled quickly doing that.
well, that's why you gotta watch your alliances. So military alliances, avoid those
I do.
until you know you want to deal with like their bullshit.
That's what I do. I'm just saying that it kind of sucks because it's not really entirely immersive, if you know what I mean. You're kind of like choosing stuff instead of like if you were in that world and you were like the fucking dwarf king, you would have such good ties with like the empire that like it would sort of be a military alliance.
Well,
But if you
they
do that,
do.
it fucks you.
They do in the lore because
Right. Yeah.
Sigmar Heldenhammer he killed Greenskin so good the orcs are like, or I mean the dwarves are like, damn, they gave him a hammer.
Right. True, but that's my point. So you can't really be entirely thematic. You have to sort of err on the side of caution unless you want to get destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, if it comes down to it, I'm number one power on my Beligar campaign. Like, if I want to, if you don't want to trade me settlements, there's gonna be some blood spilled. I mean, some grudges need filling.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have that the dwarf. I mean, I got carry 8 peaks, so I mean, there's that. But
With Beligar, damn, that's like the hardest fucking campaign ever.
oh yeah, I got everything. That's one I have all the way from which I actually rebuilt Tilia. I got one of those random events that happen where it pops a building in your settlement, and then after a bit it let me sell. I can't remember Marion. No, it's not Marion. Something. I can't. The capital Tilia gave you the option to make the faction basically again, and then I helped them rebuild it. So I have this little Tilia faction inside of my giant Beligar empire.
That's awesome. What do you play on now? Like
Hard.
Hard. I do hard campaign. No, I do normal campaign, hard battle difficulty because I need to be forced to fight battles because then it gets too boring. You'll just fucking auto resolve every fucking thing and it's just boring as hell. But I also don't want to fight every single battle. So that's kind of like good for me. But I do adjust the slider because I don't like fake, like, how do you put it? The AI is not more smart. They just fucking have unfair advantages due to their like charge bonus and stats and shit. I don't like that. So
yeah, I like it being on equal footing.
That's what I do. I put the slider to 0, but I do play on hard. I guess that changes their intelligence a little bit.
I'm not sure. I've been playing on hard for so long that when I play on very hard, it's just like the AI cheats.
That's legit.
Like they'll have a minor settlement and then have like 5 armies.
Yeah.
Like, how? I can barely have one, and I have like 3 whole fucking
See, that's the
provinces.
thing. That's what it is. Like when you play, especially with campaign difficulty, the only difference is the harder you jack up the difficulty, the more bonuses they get in being able to make funds, like by cheating. Essentially, it's not by being smarter. It's by they just get an unfair bonus.
Yeah, their upkeep's reduced by
Yeah.
like 80%.
They also get a bonus to growth, so they're going to get higher tier buildings faster than you. It's crazy. I don't like that. That's not fun to me.
No, I like mostly. I like I say, if I play Bretonia, to me, it's therefore it becomes about rebuilding Bretonia, uniting all the other Bretonians, and then defeating like the vampires and whatever. Usually, I align with the Wood Elves. I like the Wood Elves.
Yeah, they're fun.
And then I try to get my alliances with like the High Elves, and then I'll help them rebuild their thing. Like I'll take cities back and then give them back to that faction so they can rebuild, and then create alliances, then trade alliances and such.
Yep, I do that too. I don't. The one thing I don't like about Wood Elves, I feel like their baseline is too negative, considering they're pretty neutral in the lore. As long as you're not a dwarf. Really?
Oh, they're pretty hostile toward everyone. Think of them as like feral elves.
If they attack the woods, though, isn't it? Like they're neutral if you don't. Like I know they hate the dwarves because the dwarves go in there and start cutting their trees down and shit.
Well, yeah, basically, if you enter their woods, you're fair game. They're gonna eat you.
That's legit. But like, if people in the
like
game
North Carolina, you know.
but if other factions in the game don't come into your territory or anything, I feel like to me it's too hard to make allies with people. Like
Durthu is a raging force. Like
that's
he's
true.
from his slumber, and he's just pissed the fuck
but
off.
With him and the newer one, the one that starts out in Empire Lands, I can't remember her name, but she's also like malevolent. She's a malevolent tree creature. I think it starts with a C. D, you're right, Drycha. And so those two, I get it. But like, I don't know. I feel like if you're playing as the Sisters of Twilight or fucking Orion,
I confederated them.
Yeah.
The sisters. I got to finish my campaign. You had to have 8 of the small trees. I did the main ritual at the big great oak, but you had to have 8 of the smaller trees.
They ask for too much for Orion. Like, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like to complete the long campaign for my fucking achievement.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's 8 trees, and I think there's 10 on the map.
Yep, it's too much. You should be like maybe 3 of them. And like also on top of that, it takes way longer to do the Oak of Ages than any of the other ones. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm at endgame. I already did the end battle and everything. It's like, oh, now I got to go and like take territory from my allies to win the game.
Yep, it's too. They're asking for too much. They need to nerf that shit. But I do like Wood Elves overall. A lot of people complain about them, but I don't get what there is to complain about. They're, in my opinion, kind of OP. Like you can grab even basic little non-capital areas and you can steamroll money like no other faction in the game, in my opinion. You can make money like crazy.
Your main, like once you get the main 4 cities and the main around the Oak Ages, you're set. True,
but like if you decide that you want to go beyond that and just take like say Bretonia, each of the little settlements compared to other factions, in my opinion, can make you insane amounts of gold. They have like 3 different options on gold making buildings that they can make, and each of them are very powerful.
Well, like, and growth. It's a lot of that. It's growth. It can give you 5 growth from anywhere. So if you get like 10 settlements, each giving 5 growth, right there, you got 50 growth to your.
Yep. And that's why I think they're good. They don't need any. If anything, I think that their troops cost a little bit too much, but that solves that problem because you can easily make gold.
Well, I don't get Emperor very often. Like, I don't even think I got 1.
That's designed. It's kind of designed that way because there's only like a handful
Oh,
of
yeah, 'cause of each tree, so I have to do each tree to get one. Okay, I get it now.
yeah. Well, there's only so many little deals that you can use Amber for in the technology tree anyway. And they're not designed to be you get all of them. They're designed you choose like because they're
Well,
big. They're usually pretty big deals.
I got one for the Oak Ages, but now I think about it because I'm ready to do the one. I got the tree where the Sisters of Twilight are, and then I had the other one up by Norska.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do each of those rituals, I get one for each of them.
Do you remember which one you chose as your technology to use the Amber for?
It's
Or
on the top right.
I can't remember.
Remember, it's like troops. I usually buff my troops if I can, my basic troops.
Mm-hmm.
Melee infantry ranged. Get them as buffed as possible because they're your biggest.
Normally, I
And
focus on whatever my infant. Well, for what else I would probably do archers instead. But for most other campaigns, I put a lot of focus into my main infantry because that's going to be at least 6 to 7 of
well,
my
your
20.
anvil. You need a good anvil.
Yes. Well, there's that, and that is the majority of your forces, right? Like you're not going to have like 8 cavalry. You could have 8 archers if you wanted to, and that's why I'll decide on that.
I'm usually 5 melee, 5
Mhm.
ranged. I go usually 2 cavalry units, an artillery piece, at least 1, if not 3, and then specialty heroes and whatnot.
That's about legit. That's pretty close to what I do. With certain factions like high elves and wood elves, I'll go 8 to 10 ranged because they're so fucking strong.
Well, I can literally do Lothar and Seaguard, which are ranged and melee, and then
That's
you go
true.
Sisters of the sister ones. I can't remember where they are.
Sisters of Avalorn are probably
Yeah,
the most
Sisters of
powerful
Avalon.
archers in the game. I
Yeah, I
think
get
that they're the best.
once you get 5 of those in your army, and then you have Lothar and Seaguard. I mean, it's so many arrows coming at the first waves, and then once they crash into the spears of the first Seaguard, I mean, the Sisters are just going to tear them to pieces.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you also have bolt
You
thrower.
can do those what are they, hybrid units, but I don't like to make a full doom stack of a hybrid unit. It feels cheap to me. I'll do it if I have to.
Kislev's so confusing. I find balancing issues kind of weird.
I think Kislev needs a lot of work. Like they're just I don't think
Like
it was really
Russia,
well
just a mess.
designed. Like, I mean, you could take the ideas behind Kislev, like a bunch of hybrid type stuff, and like slow down. Like, there's a lot of magic that's like ice magic designed to slow down, so you can use your archers more to whittle them down before the front lines meet. But they've got to do a better job of implementing it. It's like I think Kislev is shit right now. I don't like it.
Dude, get 4 bear cavalry in any army and you'll steamroll anything.
That is true.
Those bear cavalry are so OP. It's ridiculous.
They are. That's true. That's a valid point. They're very strong.
Dragons and all these other fucking weird things. A giant fucking bear and
Very true.
the sleds.
Now, I haven't really messed with sleds, but that's more emotional. It's because they're weird to me. They don't.
I don't
fit.
use
They don't fit.
chariots or sleds. So to me, I've just been anti-chariot forever.
On very rare occasions, if I start with a chariot, like as my legendary lord, I'll usually keep it. But I only do one. But I will admit, it is so difficult because it requires constant micromanagement.
Mm-hmm.
If you forget and leave a fucking chariot inside an infantry, that fucker's gone in like a couple of seconds. It's like, it's such a pain in the ass to micromanage chariots.
Play Cetra.
Oh God. Why is it like?
Well, he's on a chariot. Once he gets his chariot to the gods or whatever.
I would probably skip it and take him off his chariot. I hate it. They're just not fun to me.
Yeah, I'm just the same with that one beast man. The one-eyed one.
Oh, Kazrak?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's I think the one that's most known is the dude from, he's not a major legendary lord, but he's in Norska. He's the green one. I don't know what it is, but their leader is known as like the chariot dude. He rides a chariot. I want to say Sirtha Ek or something. And he has a bunch of chariots in his army. Fuck that.
Oh, you just need a bunch of spears.
True, but like that's just not like imagine you
It's
having to be that
annoying.
guy. Fuck that.
Well, because they're gonna go around because they're always gonna flank you because they think they're clever, and so they go around to flank you, and then you got to protect your archers, and then that's why
Yeah.
I put my line of Dowie, my iron, the heavy duty ones have the blasting charges and everything. Put a line of those, put a line of quarrelers behind them, put slayers behind them with the artillery. Wait for them to come around, then let the slayers eat whatever comes around.
I think that those specific, I can't remember what they are either, iron something, but they're my favorite line infantry in the game.
Mm-hmm. They will not break.
Nope. I think that's what they're called, iron breakers.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
it. Iron breakers.
And the Infernal Ironsworn, the Chaos Dwarves version, are also pretty cool. And they're actually better, but I don't like them as much because I don't know. It's the dwarves are the good guys. I think that's the only reason.
I do like the Chaos Store, so I'm very like the
I do
art
too.
style and everything. It's really me.
I
The
do
fire
like
and
them,
red.
especially the fucking Dreadquake Mortar, I think they're called.
Oh
Holy
my god.
fuck, that thing's powerful.
There's 3 versions of it, and all of them are just goddamn.
If you have like 2 of those guys, you can damn near delete like half of their fucking army before they reach you. It's like I love Chaos Dwarves, don't get me wrong, but I think they need to dial it down a little bit. Like it's too powerful.
Their garrisons are shit.
That's true.
I actually used a mod the last time I played them just so their garrisons were in such shit.
Yeah, I usually play some version of a garrison mod. I like to have it
brighter borders.
Yeah, I like that, and I love mods though. I use tons of them. I think Steel Faith is the best.
There's some games I mod the hell out of. Bannerlords was one of those, and now it's broke though. I did something. I played the the mod that made it into Warhammer, and I took it off to play the vanilla game, and it just nothing will work. It crashes every time. Oh, fuck it.
That is one annoying aspect, especially every time there's a fucking patch. It breaks mods. You have to go back to vanilla anyhow. And then you have to wait for like weeks, especially for the big overhaul mods like Steel Faith or Radius. You got to wait for fucking like 2 weeks before that shit gets fixed.
Yeah, like I had that on Crusader Kings. Anytime a new DLC or something came out, and then some of the mods just go almost a year before they get updated because there's just so much information that needs changed and updated or added.
Yeah,
because they had like the Elder Scrolls. Basically, you got the whole map of Elder Scrolls, and you could become any king, any lord. I mean, and start out.
I would be okay with it. They could solve that problem if they released like a beta version of like every patch and released it specifically to mod developers. Then they could get their shit in alignment before the release. Some people wouldn't like that though.
They kind of do. I mean, Steam's pretty open with a lot of it. So a lot of them do have like an open beta. So you right click, you can go down to your options, and then you go over to betas, and then you can actually see if whatever game it is has a beta or different. You can change it to different versions as well.
Right. That's true. But so I don't know if that makes it to where like they can work on it though. Like say you're a mod developer with a large mod like Steel Faith Overhaul, like are they able to work on the patch before it's released?
Well, if they have the patch in, they'd have all the data, like basically, so it'd be given. They would have all the stuff to make those changes. I'm sure.
So maybe they already have that, but they still takes them forever.
Streamers tend to get the priority, so that's the advertising part of the product. That's the problem with capitalism. It's more about presenting the product than it is actually about the product.
Of course. There's always a downside.
So like they give all the streamers like a week or 2 early access to it to play it, stream it, get people interested, and then get the people talking, and then release it and then people buy it.
Yeah.
Then you gotta wait your week or two for mods and whatnot. But the DLCs especially, I watched a lot of, well, not a lot, but a few people play Total War.
It's popular-ish for that style of game. It's popular.
Well, let's see how many people are on right now.
It'll never be like Call of Duty, but yeah.
Oh no, it's not that kind of people. You gotta think
Right.
this is restricted to PC only, basically.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, and a specific type of gamer. Not every gamer is gonna like a Warhammer style game.
Right now, there's almost 21,000 people on.
How can you tell?
All right, pop up your Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And then click Community Hub. When you're at that game.
Just community.
Or no, sorry. Pick the game that you want to be on. So like Total War.
Yeah.
And see down where the play button is under
Community
that.
Hub.
Yep, Community Hub, and then
it'll
tell you how many in game.
I didn't know that. Is that only in Steam?
Yeah.
Or is that okay? That's quite a bit.
They'll tell you with any game you have.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of shit in Steam I don't really ever fuck with. There's reviews, guides, all kinds of stuff.
Let's look at that new game, Space Marine 2. I have that one installed. Let's see how many people. There's 10,709 playing that. That's a new game, AAA.
And you would think that there would be a big influx in the beginning, and then it'll kind of taper off. Or it really depends on how popular it is and whether or not people love it. But usually new games get like a quick burst all of a sudden when it's first released.
Yes, well, that seems probably about right. Then it's 10,000, well, almost 11,000 as their new normal kind of. It's because they just put out a new. They have one. It's like a season thing that comes out. Each season has new stuff coming out, new suits, whatnot. So they just have one of those come out. So that's probably a little bit of influence. But
I could see that.
Not many. Like Project Zomboid, this game's a cult classic. Project Zomboid's been in production for 10 years plus.
The
it has
hell?
29,000 people playing right now.
That reminds me about fucking Bethesda's work, whatever the hell their next fucking Elder Scrolls. Jesus Christ. The whole world's going to end before that shit's done.
Or here's Baldur's Gate 3. This game, I love it. It is a great game. I played it with my friend, and I played a Drow the Dark Elf basically, and I made it so I had no clothes on. So at nighttime, when you hit the sleep button, you just pop up nude. So my guy would always be like laying there with his leg up, with his dick hanging out, just like laying back under the stars. And my friend was like, "God damn you!" Or if he was in cut screens, I'd like take all my clothes off, stand there, like swing back and forth, make my dick swing back and forth, playing like talking to somebody. But there's 68,000 people playing that game right now.
Damn. Pretty big.
So I mean, it really comes down to how good the game is.
I would imagine that it's also a little amplified right now, being that it's a Friday. It's on the weekend.
Oh, true that. Ration is Build 42. Yeah, I played that a lot. I played a lot of Project Zomboid. I have almost 300 hours, which is almost nothing. But
I don't play like I used to, but I still enjoy gaming, and I'll never quit gaming.
It's good for the mind. It helps you escape. It helps you just relax.
It really is. I'd probably be a serial killer without games.
That's probably why there was me in the past.
Yeah.
Just living
People didn't have an outlet, so they're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, it started with torturing animals and went on from there.
I would never do that. I would skip animals and go straight to people. I respect animals more than I like people, by far.
Did you see that thing they figured out who Jack the Ripper was?
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch it, but I saw a video pop up that we had evidence or some sort of, like, how did they find
DNA.
out again? Yeah.
The last victim gave evidence over, and then they DNA tested people who they thought was the family that was connected to the killer. They tested it and then got a positive match. He was a barber surgeon. So a guy who's already familiar with anatomy and such like that, and was already.
Now that would make sense.
He didn't get queasy, by, blood and cutting people and such.
That's pretty awesome. So, like, did we have a lot of information on the person? Like, once they found out who it was, like, why do we have any information on some random barber dude?
Oh, yeah. Well, genealogy and such, people. But England is a bit different. They're a bit more hold on to history.
That's true.
London.
It's interesting. It would be better, though, if they had, like, been able, of course they couldn't, but if they had been able to find out more information earlier, that way the people were still alive, and they'd be like, oh, fuck, it was the barber surgeon dude.
That's crazy to think, like, oh, man, I gotta get my finger cut off. I got gangrene in it. I gotta go to the barber surgeon today. He's gonna cut my finger off.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But that's like everyday life. It's true.
Yeah,
we do both. We technology causes us to innovate to such an extent that we can make money, like insane amounts of money, and globally fix problems and shit at scales never before imagined. But at the same time, it's not the problem with technology. It's a problem of like power and like the whole, the shit that Bernie Sanders always talks about, the income inequality. So you can have better, like at least a better system of income equality than we do now, even with great technology, but it requires at the very least like regulations and shit. And that's what we don't have. We just let companies get more and more powerful.
We've seen that with Republicans, where they made corporations basically are considered people. Money is free speech. I mean, corporations can now spend endless money buying presidencies, as we've seen with Elon Musk and OpenAI, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg from Meta. I mean, they just bought the presidency, basically, influence. And so now they get whatever they want.
Yeah, and it's fucked that's even allowed. Like, that's why I've said both right and left. Most people I've talked to can get behind money in politics basically means there's no democracy. And that's fucked. But that's what we need to fucking
keeps
fight.
Us divided over stupid shit. So
I know. That's why they use the fucking woke shit. No one actually gives a fuck about woke shit.
What? They don't even understand DEI. They use DEI as something that's like a boogeyman when it means like, hey, companies can't be racist, means companies can't be sexist, and companies can't be homophobic. That's all it means.
Basically, yes. So, but they lie about it and fucking fearmonger with it to the point where you're right. It's just used as a division, as like a smokescreen tactic, so people don't focus on the actual shit that matters. And it's and they've gotten good at it.
They think these places are forced to hire people of diversity when no, companies, they just like to try to get a more diverse workforce, yes, but they're going to take the most qualified person every time. That's just
right.
Corporations.
Yeah, that's what I've seen too. But then they'll point, but it's like reverse. So what they see is like automatically when you see something that's outside of the norm, like you see a lesbian firefighter, for example. Oh, she was just put up there because she's a lesbian. When all of the fucking evidence shows that she was extremely qualified. She worked her way up yes, and like it's all bullshit. Hold on, and let me pin this. You're good.
Oh my god, my brain just went through.
Yeah, mine did too. I wasn't focused on chat for a while, and then I looked back for the first time, and someone said to pin it, and I'm like, "Fuck."
Pin it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. the Discord, because someone brought up. I think Odyssey asked about the Discord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyhow, I've already went past my time, and yeah, my brain is fucked right now. It just like as soon as yours died, mine died, and then it's like I'm a zombie right
What was
now.
I talking about?
I don't even know. I don't have a clue. Like everything's gone right now. So
Total
that
war in the
means
mind.
that's what I was about to say. When the brain dies like that, that means it's about time to get some total war going.
It's such a brainless activity too. You don't think really other than do I move here or there?
I
Do
get
I build
really
this or that?
addicted. Just I don't know, something about the turn-based thing is addictive to me. Like I don't know what it is. Something about that type of game.
One more turn.
Yes,
One
I
more
get
turn.
so fucking like there's so many goals that it'll be like, okay, in 2 turns I can probably get this goal done and I'll achieve it, and then I'm like, yeah, but I
Or that little
can
counter on the buildings. In 2
yeah,
turns, oh, I can build more.
yeah, it's like so addictive.
Well, that and did you see that one I built that big castle or whatever? I put a picture down the gaming. I built a big like castle on the side of a mountain or whatever. I get into that. Like I'll sit here for like 10 hours and just watch little people run around building my little castle, gathering resources. Do what I say, slaves. I am God.
It's fun. It's fun. But
Oh,
anyhow, I'm gonna shut her down, get some food, and then play some Warhammer. I
Oh
will
yeah.
see
Time
you
for
next
Fap
week
and
if you're
Hammer.
available. Fappenhammer. Take it easy, Gads. Thanks for
You
coming,
too, man.
everybody.
Later.